Come listen to my story about a man named Jack. Loved to build race cars, never had an engine crack. They said NASCAR's where you ought to be. So he loaded up the trucks and he moved to Liberty, North Carolina. Golf courses, country grits, and gravy. Well, the first thing you know, old Jackie had a scheme. Hired Steve Mill as a man to run his team. Wanted a crew chief he could trust like a son. So he searched the countryside and found Robin Pemberton. Well, Jack's next task was to fill the driver's seat. Must like to drive a Ford and be under 6 feet. He watched the Busch Series and he liked what he saw. Said, that's the one I want, that kid from Batesville, Arkansas. Mark Martin, just my type. I can look him square in the eye. First year out, they learned quite a bit. They ran some fast laps, but spent many in the pits. He said, just to finish, that's all we want to do. We'll house 3 top 5s and a second place, too. In 1989, the team's now 1 year old. They took it to Daytona and planked it on the pole. The green flag fell and they knew they were real fast. Only problem was Jack was calculating gas. Come on, Jack, put some batteries in that thing. The year was winding down and only 3 events remained. Roush's boys were riding high, but no victory came. When both Dale and Rusty planned to wage that private war, old Mark just mashed a pedal and breezed to his first score. They went into Atlanta with a chance to win it all. But beating Dale and Rusty, that task was mighty tall. They said, let's lay back early and wait for some racing room. But before he could make his move, the engine went kaboom. Jack knew that 90 was his year. The team said it's just fate. They won the race at Richmond and survived old Spacer Gate. Then Martin took the point lead way out west in June. Now Dale, Rusty, Jeff, and Bill are singing to his tune. Now Jack, Mark, and all the boys know it's time to race. Enough with all this talking, let's put on our game face. Earnhardt and the Goodwrench gang, they're the ones to clock. So get ready, race fans, for racing from the rock. The track at LG Bill.
ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. North Carolina Motor Speedway, 11:30 a.m. Friday morning. The Mark Martin team is making an engine change. Even owner Jack Roush is assisting in the race against the clock, the race to May's second round qualifying. But once again, the team that Jack put together came through as they've done all year. They got the job done in less than an hour, and Martin made it to the line to improve upon a poor first round qualifying run.
For the most dramatic moment in all professional sports, here's Charlie Key Jr., the president of All Supply Company.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And the engines roar to life.
Cars fire to life as we get set to bring you the best 3 hours of the AC Delco 500 from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Rockingham, the 26th of 29 races in the Winston Cup schedule. The tremendous points battle between Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt continues here today. Mark, a 49-point edge going in. He has already won a major battle this weekend. As you saw, he made an engine change just before second day qualifying. Had he not participated in second day qualifying, he would have to pit on the backstretch, putting him at a significant disadvantage right off the bat. As it is, he'll start 21st, and Earnhardt will start in 20th position. What will their strategies be? Well, let's ask Ned and Benny about that.
Bob, you talk about strategy today. Ned, I think Mark Martin's in a little bit of trouble. Why? Well, I don't think he can go for the victory. I think the points battle is worth too much. He's going to have to take it easy. He can't take any chances. He's going to have to worry about finishing the race and not so much winning. If he does win, circumstances will have to be perfect for him to do that. What about Earnhardt?
Well, Earnhardt, we know that he's going to try to go to the front as quick as he possibly can. He needs to lead the most laps if he possibly can and get those 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And that's his style anyway. He's going to bring that Chevrolet to the front as quick as he possibly can. But Benny, if he's going to win that race today, you know who I think he's got to outrun?
Who?
Bill Elliott.
Really?
Yeah, that car has really been running strong lately. They got a new chassis set up under it that's working well, and that's very important here. So look out for the red car number 9.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's now check the starting lineup for this afternoon's race. On the pole in car number 25, the Kodiak Chevrolet, Ken Schrader qualifying at 147.814. Outside the front row, the most recent Winston Cup winner at Charlotte, Davey Allison, in the number 28 Haviland Ford. The second row, Alan Kowicki in car number 7, the Xerox Ford, and Harry Gant in number 33, the Food Lion Skoal Oldsmobile. Row number 3 has Bill Elliott in car number 9, the Coors Melling Ford, and Kyle Petty, who won here in March, in the number 42 Peak Unit in Pontiac. The fourth row, Jeff Bodine in the Budweiser Ford number 11, and Rick Mast in the number 98 Banquet Frozen Foods Chevrolet. The fifth row has Ernie Irvin in the Kodak Film Chevrolet, car number 4, and Dale Jarrett, the number 21 Citgo Ford. Row number 6 consists of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, driven by Ricky Rudd, that's car number 5, and Terry Labonte in the Magic Market Skoal Classic Oldsmobile, car number 1. The seventh row, the Ray Bestis Brakes Buick number 12, driven by Hud Strickland and Dick Trickle in the number 66 Trop Arctic Motor Oil Pontiac. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, Ned, we're getting down to it. Every race extremely critical here, the final 3 of the year.
Well, certainly this is the longest race that they have remaining, Bob, as far as time is concerned. We have another 500-mile race at Atlanta, the last race of the season, but this is the race that takes up the most time, and that's what race drivers and crews look at when they start preparing for a race, because the longer you're out there, the more potential you have for something going wrong.
And the cars that fail to make the field, Del McCowart, James Hilton, J.D. McDuffie, and Mark Stahl. We mourn the recent death of the former president of North Carolina Motor Speedway, L.G. DeWitt. His contribution to racing, both as a car owner and a track executive, was significant. As we approach the green flag here at North Carolina Motor Speedway, we remember him with the sights and the sounds of race cars that he loved so much at the track he built. We'll be back with the starting of the AC Delco 500 in just a moment. We're just moments away from the start of the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, it's like buying time. By Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by Quaker State, the big Q is one tough motor oil. The 40-car field on the backstretch, getting set for the green flag this time around, and Ernie Irvin is on pit road already.
Already has problems. They're inside the car. They still haven't been able to cure the problem. The guys are coming outside now, and the car does drive away, but Ernie Irvin will have to start at the rear of the field.
That's because the field is coming around turn number 4 now, being led by Ken Schrader and Davey Allison on the front row. A sellout crowd here at Rockingham as they cheer the start of the AC Delco 500. There's the green flag. We're underway. Number 1 over Davey Allison, Alan Kowicki, and Bill Elliott.
They're all trying to get in single file, Bob, and those first 6 cars there are. We see Kyle Petty up on the outside there.
And Mark Martin begins to move through the field, running alongside Morgan Shepherd. Ahead of him is Rusty Wallace. Mark Martin started 21st. He was the fastest second-day qualifier, but had he not qualified on the second day, he would have started 33rd in the field and would have been relegated to a backstretch pit position.
Which really puts all chance of winning almost out the window unless this race was to go 500 miles under green flag conditions.
And there you can see Dale Earnhardt, the second car ahead of Mark Martin. As Ned indicated, it's a long race. 492 laps around this track, just a little over a mile in length. Rusty Wallace looking to the inside of Dale Earnhardt, not making the pass. They continue to run in single file formation, being led by Ken Schrader, with Davey Allison about a car length behind. Then Alan Kowicki, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, Kyle Petty, and Ricky Rudd.
Rusty might have remembered the last time he tried that act going in turn 3 last fall. We saw the results of that in the beginning of our show.
Well, they practiced a lot together here yesterday afternoon in that last hour of practice. And that's normally the case when that last hour of practice, Earnhardt and Wallace go out and test each other because they know that each of them is going to be good in the race, so they want to see how they stack up against each other.
Back here in the middle of the pack, following Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, and Mark Martin.
Looks like that Earnhardt's holding up that pack. It looks like Rusty Wallace is a little bit faster if he could get by Earnhardt. It looks like Mark Martin also is faster than Earnhardt at this stage of the race.
But as you said at the top of the show, Danny, Mark is not going to take any chances. Not that Earnhardt would, but he has been known to stick the nose of that Chevrolet in places that Mark Martin probably wouldn't stick the nose of that Ford.
That's Morgan Shepherd headed for the high side of the racetrack and moving alongside of Mark Martin, going for that position, and Morgan Shepherd did pass Mark Martin there on the backstretch.
That's exactly what I was talking about at the top of the show. That was a points move. Mark Martin doesn't want to race with Morgan Shepherd. He wants good, clean racetrack he can ride around. Again, at the end of the race, if he's in position to win, they'll go for it. But right now, he just wants to make all the laps he can.
Shepherd, his Motorcraft Ford working good up on the outside. He goes around Rusty Wallace on the outside of the track. Shepherd had a poor qualifying run on Thursday, then came back and was the second fastest on the second day to Mark Martin. Felt his car was hooked up pretty good for the race, and it certainly looks that way. Look at him go around Earnhardt on the outside.
Well, the Ford executives that I talked to here this weekend indicated that they thought Morgan Shepherd had a very good chance of winning this race. He didn't qualify well, but the car is running well for the race. And there is Mark Martin now headed to the high side of the racetrack and moving alongside Dale Earnhardt. Oh. Really close there, coming out of the fourth turn onto the tri-oval. Rusty Wallace has dropped back a couple of positions.
Well, I think he's going to go up there and try that high groove that Morgan Shepherd used to get around him. Normally, the groove doesn't move up until after 100 or maybe 200 miles on this racetrack, but Morgan Shepherd just moved up there on the second groove and passed all three of those cars. Martin now going to try it on the inside of Earnhardt. The outside didn't work the last time around, but the inside might.
The two guys going for the Winston Cup Championship in 1990 and $1 million bonus going at it wheel to wheel here in the early stages of the AC 500 at Rockingham. There you can see the bonus points accumulated over the season. Dale Earnhardt with a significant advantage over Mark Martin. Of course, you earn bonus points for leading a lap and leading the most laps, and Mark Martin passes Dale Earnhardt.
Got a great grip down the middle of 3. Sterling Marlin trying to get by the Rusty Wallace automobile. That's the blue car, Sunoco on the hood. That's Sterling Marlin. And Morgan Shepherd, we saw just a little bit of hint of him. He is really high in the corners.
Now Rusty trying the outside of Earnhardt. Rusty, and you mentioned Sterling Marlin. He sticks his nose up there as well, but looks like Rusty might be able to make that pass on the outside.
Now here comes Mark Martin alongside of the yellow number 75 car, Brick Wilson. Dropping back into single file formation through the first turn. Meanwhile, up front, it is still Ken Schrader in number 25 showing the way, with Davey Allison tucked right in behind him, and Alan Kowicki beginning to show some muscle here. Moving to the inside of Davey off the fourth corner, and Alan Kowicki is bidding for that second position. They're wheel to wheel into turn 1. Kowicki on the low side, and Allison up on top.
Alan Kowicki is wanting to do well. Still does not have a sponsor for 1991. Xerox is going away.
And $1,000 will be donated to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary in the name of our pollster, Ken Schrader, who also is going for a Unical bonus this afternoon of $30,400. Remember, that Unical bonus was won in the March race here by Kyle Petty. Good three-car battle up front, and now Davey Allison wants to take the lead and draws alongside of Schrader on the backstretch and inches ahead as they head for the third turn, and he takes the lead.
Well, Ned, the high groove is the one that's the fastest now by far.
Really is, and that's a little surprising. You ran here for many years. I only ran a couple of years. The track was changed after I quit driving. The banking went up a little bit, but to see them using that high groove this early is unusual.
Sure is. The racetrack the pavement's deteriorated a little bit. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since they paved the Speedway, and when that happens, after 4 or 5 years, the pavement starts deteriorating and the groove will move up. The traction is up on top of the racetrack.
The asphalt is not worn as much up there, so that's the reason they're moving up there.
Running in 4th position is Bill Elliott, and now he begins to move into the picture, closing in on Alan Kulwicki. But Kulwicki will try to now take over 2nd position from Ken Schrader, but nope, it won't work this time. So it's Davey Allison, Ken Schrader, Alan Kulwicki, and Bill Elliott, the first 4.
People wonder why, if they get better traction up there, they just don't drive around, because it's such a longer distance up on the high side of the racetrack versus the bottom of the racetrack.
The Sports 1-900 number for all the latest information in Winston Cup competition, plus comments from your favorite driver. All you have to do is dial Sports 1-900 number and then punch in the number of your favorite driver to hear their comments about what's going on in Winston Cup competition. Watch a possible pass for the lead. It doesn't occur. Davey Allison holds on to the top spot. Let's show you the top 15 here in the early stages of the AC Delco 500 from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. We'll be right back with more of our coverage. Recapping the action here at the Rock, laps 20 through 34. It was the number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki taking the lead from Davey Allison as the great 3-car battle up front continued. Ken Schrader in number 25 held a close 3rd spot. Over in turn number 3, the number 57 car of Jim Bound. The Heinz 57 Pontiac spun to the inside of the racetrack, causing the first yellow. Schrader won the race back to the line. Then a series of pit stops. Everybody running up front came in for their first scheduled stop. The focus was on the 2 going for the Winston Cup. Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt. Quick service by both crews, 4 tires and gas. The Richard Childress crew got the number 3 Earnhardt car out first. The number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip had a quick gas and go. And so he has the lead as we go back to the action on lap 33. Here the standings after 33 laps is Darrell Waltrip showing the way with Ken Schrader 2nd and Alan Kulwicki, Kyle Petty, and Davey Allison. 6 through 10, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, Morgan Shepherd, and Dale Earnhardt. Now we are under caution because of a spin over in turn number 3 involving Jim Bound in the number 57 car, but we are about to go back to green flag racing. The field being led down by Darrell Waltrip and the time machine. The green flies, and here we go again.
Darrell's off to a good start there, Bob, but we understand that maybe he didn't take on tires during his pit stop on the gas. He is pitting on the backstretch, and we wonder how he will be able to maneuver out front there with used tires on.
I don't think his lead is going to stay. I don't think he's going to stay in front very long without those fresh tires. Look at Schrader already closed up on the back bumper of Darrell Waltrip.
Schrader moves to the inside now on the backstretch, looking for the room to squeeze low beneath Darrell in the 3rd turn. He does so as Darrell Waltrip's car goes high, and here comes Schrader and Kulwicki and Kyle Petty in the blue number 42 car looking for 3rd place. And the 93 car of Charlie Baker is having problems. He brings the smoking car down through the tri-oval on the inside of the racetrack. Darrell Waltrip back to 4th place already.
Well, certainly gave him good track position by putting in gas only, but I'm sure he wishes that he had some good tires on that, some fresher tires on that car so that he could keep it down in the corners, and he sees those guys just drive by him, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Ricky Rudd makes the move to the inside. And here comes Jeff Bodine. Bodine moving to 5th place. Waltrip back to 6th.
Folks, when you watch the Winston Cup races on ESPN and you wonder when the caution flag comes out why they all dive in the pits and change tires, this is exactly why they do that, because the result is they go backwards. Fresh tires get such a much better grip than used tires.
Bumper cam on Kyle Petty's car, looking back at a battle for 4th position, and Bodine passes Ricky Rudd. Harry Gant moves to the inside of Rudd now in the number 5 car. That's Davey Allison, and look at the other black car in your picture. That's Dale Earnhardt, who started from 20th position. Now passes Darrell Waltrip.
Made an excellent pit stop, Bob. Gave him good track position as he moves around Waltrip.
Another car running well here in the early going is Harry Gant, number 33.
Gant was very fast in practice here, had a good qualifying run, and always seems to run well on this racetrack.
He does run well. Dale Earnhardt, the crew must have made some good changes to that Goodwrench Chevrolet because he was struggling a little bit earlier on in the race, but looks like everything is looking pretty well now.
Let's go down to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Benny, you're exactly right. Earnhardt's crew made essentially 3 different adjustments of the car to try to help the car. It was too tight going into the corner. He could get the car on the bottom of the racetrack, but the car would push up coming out of turn 2 and out of turn 4. But now the car is seemingly perfect. Earnhardt likes the way it's handling. He's making his way to the front.
What's Mark Martin doing?
Well, he's struggling a little bit back there. He's running in front of Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick. Dale Jarrett up in front of him just went around, marked the last lap, and the car, we'll see what Brett Bodine can do with him, but it looked like it was pushing up into turns a little bit just a moment ago. We'll watch him as he goes into turn 3, and he does go up a little bit. Brett Bodine, not quite at the opening he needed, though, to move on the inside of it.
Right now, Martin is running in 18th position, and Brett Bodine is 19th. You'll also be hearing throughout the afternoon from John Kernan, our other pit reporter. Here is Kyle Petty making a challenge to the number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki for 2nd position. The leader is Ken Schrader. And here comes Brett Bodine moving to the inside of Mark Martin, and Ernie Irvin, who began this race from a disadvantage, having really started from pit road, is also moving up fast.
And Mark Martin, we talked about Dale Earnhardt struggling at the beginning. They've adjusted his car, and Mark Martin now is...
He's back to 21st as Rusty Wallace also passes the number 6 car of Mark Martin. And Kyle Petty at number 42 has taken over 2nd position from Alan Kulwicki.
Boy, who can forget the run he had here in March? Absolutely dominated the Goodwrench 500. Came back with the same car, the same setup. And, of course, there's running radial tires still, but he knew that everybody else had caught up with him a little bit maybe since then.
But Kyle Petty at the moment is in 2nd position, and Alan Kulwicki is 3rd. 4th spot belongs to Jeff Bodine. And
trouble over in turn 2. Tracy Leslie has fun. Car number 72 right in front of the leaders. They come around, but he gets off of the racetrack. There goes Kenny Schrader by, so everything's okay, but the caution is out.
Now those running up front have not taken the caution flag, but those in the middle of the pack back have. And so as they come around, Ken Schrader and Kyle Petty and Alan Kulwicki will all take the caution flag for the 2nd time this afternoon, and the speed will be reduced once again. Spin over in turn number 2 involving Tracy Leslie here at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, the AC Delco 500. We're about to go back to green, and during this caution period, Mark Martin did not come in for a pit stop. What do you think about that, Benny?
I think it's a mistake because his car is not right. He should have come in, let him work on the race car. It is not right now, Bob.
Well, you remember what happened at North Wilkesboro not too long ago. They came in and made a major adjustment, nearly lost lap, but didn't, and it made a significant improvement in the handling of the car that allowed him to run much better, but he did not come in during this caution period, and now the green flies again on the 49th lap. Let's go to Jerry Punch. What about that situation involving Mark, Jerry?
Well, it's obvious the car is not handling at all. They say it's loose in certain points and pushing us elsewhere, so they wanted to try to get all 4 of those tires off and bring him in and make a couple of adjustments on the car. Not only to jack some weight in the car, but also to change the air pressure in the tire. A major way to adjust a radial tire. They were unable to do that. They were afraid they would come in and pit under at the last lap of that caution flag and get caught back in the field and possibly suffer an accident here with all the heavy traffic in front of them. So they roll the dice. They'll have to stay out there and suffer a little while and maybe get a caution flag very soon.
Boy, there is just so much to think about when not only are you going for a win in the race, but also $1 million in the Winston Cup Championship, as Kyle Petty has now put himself in the lead. And Mark Martin, well, he's not moving really well. He's running in a heavy group of traffic. That's the number 2 car driven by Rick Jeffrey alongside. He moves around him, but Mark is certainly not where he wants to be at this particular point of the game.
Now, he'd rather not be back there in that much traffic. And certainly he would like to be much closer to the front.
We saw just a few laps ago the green car, Brett Bodine and Russell Wall past Mark Martin, and just in 2 laps since the green flag, they've been able to put 6 or 8 car lengths on Mark Martin.
That's Hut Strickland in car number 12 right behind Mark. Now here's Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison, and Ricky Rudd all racing for position.
Gant in 4th, Bodine in 5th, Davey Allison 6th, then Rudd. Morgan Shepherd coming in there in car number 15, taking that high groove, and there's Earnhardt right at the tail end of that group.
Morgan Shepherd choosing the high line down in turns 1 and 2. There's Earnhardt closing in on Morgan. Davey Allison heads for the top of the racetrack, trying to pass Jeff Bodine.
That groove worked for him early in the race, Bob, and he's trying to get it going again, but Jeff working well down on the inside. But Davey slips up into the 2nd lane. See, Morgan Shepherd, he has run that high line since the crop of the green flag.
Sure has, and it's paid off for him. There's Bill Elliott now closing in on Dale Earnhardt, and there comes Sterling Marlin in the blue and yellow Sunoco number 94.
Bill Elliott's team won the pit crew championship yesterday in a special event, but it looks like this first pit stop that they lost quite a few positions. He was running up in the top 5 and is now back to the 10th spot.
Davey Allison, by the way, finished 2nd in that pit stop competition. Or Jeff Bodine did, and Davey was 3rd.
Right.
Yeah. And the lead continues to be held by Kyle Petty in the Peak Unit in Pontiac number 42. You remember March 4th of this year, he dominated the race here. Can you dominate this race like you did here in the spring, Kyle?
I don't know. I'd like to think so. You know, we felt like we got a shot at winning the race. I don't think we had a shot at dominating. You'd like to think you did, but not like we run down here in March. You know, we unloaded off the trailer fast, and the car was perfect. We never changed anything. It cranked a couple of rounds of wedge in it, and when you only crank a couple of rounds of wedge in a car in 3 or 4 days, then you know you're pretty perfect when you unload. So we'll do the best we can and hope we come out with something.
Did he dominate that race in March? Yes, he did. He led 433 of the 492 laps. There's the pit crew looking at his progress. And the bumper cam looking back on Ken Schrader. And now let's go back into the pack and look at the action back here with Dale Earnhardt running alongside of Bill Elliott. Ahead is Jeff Bodine and Morgan Shepherd and Ricky Rudd. Trailing is Sterling Marlin.
Bill Elliott has found that high groove. He moves around Earnhardt, or at least almost by him. Now Morgan Shepherd's caught down on the inside. He had been running up high. Elliott trying to make the high groove work for himself. Sterling Marlin might have ideas of doing that same thing. Whoops, 3 abreast. Earnhardt dips down on the inside, but Elliott pulls on away, and Earnhardt does make the pass on Shepherd.
Morgan Shepherd gets left behind. Earnhardt, we indicated, or at least Benny, you expressed the opinion that Dale would head for the front with no thought whatsoever of the championship, with Mark Martin playing it cool and trying to keep out of traffic.
Well, there's Mark, and I don't see a car in front, and let's see. I don't see a car behind him. He's doing pretty good in his what I felt he would do and what he's doing.
Earnhardt, meanwhile,
is up there really just scraping and trying to get everything he can.
He's mixing it up.
That's what you said, wasn't it, Ned?
Yep, said that he'd drive her hard and try to go to the front. Sterling Marlin, though, trying to move by him on the outside. Bill Elliott already has. Now, there's Ernie Irvin in the 4 car coming into the picture.
And let's not forget Rick Mast in that 98 car. An excellent qualifying performance, and he's running right up there. That's that yellow numeraled and red car, number 98.
Rick was running very well in practice here yesterday afternoon. He and Travis Carter, the crew chief and owner of that Chevrolet, felt they had a good shot for the best run of the year. Look at Irvin, though, going the outside of him in the back of the screen, on the right side of your screen.
Meanwhile, Bill Elliott has passed Jeff Bodine. The Coors Ford went by the Bud Ford.
Up front, it is Kyle Petty showing the way in the AC Delco 500. He's got a rather significant lead already over Ken Schrader. Here are the top 10 at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Recapping action at the Rock, laps 63 through 80. Good battle in the middle of the pack for 5th position between Ricky Rudd and Davey Allison, with Bill Elliott also right there. Lap 77, another caution brought out by the number 51 car of Jeff Purvis. Jerry Punch was there to watch the pit stops of Earnhardt and Martin.
A big break for both Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin, particularly Mark Martin, as they come to pit road under the caution flag at Rockingham. Crew will go to work on the right side of the car. Remember, Martin's crew unable to get the car in earlier, and thus this pit stop is critical. Earnhardt's crew had made an adjustment on their car. They're now going to work on the left side of the Goodrich Chevrolet, changing tires. And we're going to change right side tires, now left side tires on the Folgers Ford of Mark Martin. Earnhardt is down and away. Left by 40 Chevy and other cars that have come in and already made their way down pit road. Now Mark Martin, all 4 tires being changed. He moves out just in front of the Chevy little car and heads back down pit road.
Quick work by Gary Nelson and crew kept Kyle Petty in the lead of the AC Delco 500 as we go back to the action on lap 81. Here the top 10 after 81 laps. It's Kyle Petty leading with Rick Mast second, then Ken Schrader, Harry Gann, and Alan Kowicki. 6th place is Bill Elliott, then Dale Earnhardt, Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd, and Ernie Irvin is in 10th position. We're about to go back from green following the engine explosion on Jeff Purvis's car. The track crew has sufficiently gotten up the oil that was down to the track, and we're about to go back to racing. Benny?
Did you ask how Rick Mast got to 2nd place?
2 tires?
2 tires, right. He changed 2 tires, the rest of the cars changed 4. We'll see if that worked for Travis Carter and the crew or not.
Rick is in the red car, the 98 machine that is on the top side of the racetrack. We're looking back at him from Kyle Petty's bumper cam. And from Chad Little's in-car camera, we watch Rick Mast and Kyle Petty, and there's Ken Schrader moving around Chad. Charlie Baker, Tracy Leslie, and Jeff Purvis have retired from competition with 83 laps completed. I'm telling you, that Pontiac of Kyle Petty is doing what it did in the spring, isn't it?
It looks like he is taking up where he left off.
2nd place battle is between Ken Schrader and Rick Mast. Mast holds on. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Gary Nelson.
Well, as we talked about earlier in the race, the car dominated here in March. Gary, just is the exact same car. How many changes did you actually have to make on it for this race?
You know, we came here with the car identical to what we left with, same car, same setup, everything, and we ended up qualifying 6th. So yesterday we changed the whole setup on the car, and it looks like we've improved it. It looks real good right now.
I guess he's pretty happy with it right now.
Oh yeah, we're always happy when we're leading. Really make us happy if we can be leading on that last lap.
Well, very happy down here in the pits right now. They also had a pretty good 4-tire change. They took on 4 sticker tires.
All right, Kyle Petty now beginning to pull away from Ken Schrader. Rick Mast dropping back. Schrader has 2nd, Kowicki 3rd, then Harry Gann, and then Rick Mast. So why would you change the car and make a major adjustment when you knew it was running well?
Well, because there has been 6 months time passed since then, Bob, and as we said, the racetrack deteriorates, it changes. The weather conditions is not exactly the same as it was in March, and those things you have to take in consideration.
Here's Bill Elliott moving to the inside of Rick Mast, and there you see what 2 tires can do for you, or what they won't do for you.
They won't keep the car down on the inside of the racetrack. Don't get the traction coming off of the turns. That 4 tires will, although Rick's staying down there now in front of Earnhardt, but still, it just doesn't get the traction and makes a big difference.
Dale Earnhardt right behind Rick Mast. Here comes the number 4 yellow car of Ernie Irvin once again. That's Davey Allison and Ricky Rudd also in your picture. There is Earnhardt moving to the inside and picking up the position on Rick Mast.
And you know, the situation doesn't get better either, as those outside tires, they're taking all of the strain right now, and it's going to heat them up quicker. As a result, it's just going to make the whole car go away quicker than it would if he had not even put any tires on it, I think.
Ernie Irvan has passed, Davey Allison has passed, and now Ricky Rudd.
Ernie Irvan is trying his best to get by Dale Earnhardt. And this fella could have a heck of a run if he had only been able to start up front. He's had to fight his way all the way.
You can say that again. He has been very strong in that 4 car, but unfortunately made a pit stop before the green flag came out and was catching the field when the green did fly. Let's have more on that from John Kernan.
Well, Bob, right before the race went green, Ernie radioed in the ignition had gone bad, the primary ignition. So Tony Glover, they had to have him come in and change to a new ignition box. And most cars, you know, they do carry a spare, and they were lucky enough to get him back on the track without losing a lap. But he has made up a lot of ground, as you see him now pull up on Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, he has passed Earnhardt. So Ernie Irvan is now up to 6th spot. Earnhardt is 7th. Then Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd, Rick Mast, Morgan Shepherd, Rusty Wallace, Shep Bodine. And right there is the leader, Kyle Petty. And man, he stretched out the advantage pretty good over Ken Schrader.
Just moving right on away. That car is working.
And there is Dale Earnhardt. Where is Mark Martin? There he is. Remember, he got 4 tires on that most recent pit stop.
Also a chassis adjustment. I saw Ryan Pemberton reach in and take 2 rounds of wedge, or put in 2 rounds of wedge, make the car a little bit tighter.
But look at this, Benny. He's got a lot of room both in front of him and in back of him.
Found himself a good, clear spot out there on the racetrack and continued to run there.
The only could be better if he was in front.
If the race ended right now, Mark Martin would still have the lead, but by only 9 points on Dale Earnhardt. There are 2 races to go after this afternoon at Phoenix, Arizona in 2 weeks, and then the finale at Atlanta International Raceway in 4 weeks. Those last 2 races will be live on ESPN as we follow the battle of the championship to the very bitter end. The sweet end in someone's case. Look at the interval that Kyle Petty has opened up already here with the 100 lap mark coming up soon. Kyle Petty, the leader of the AC Delco 500 from Rockingham, North Carolina. We'll be back with our coverage right after this. Recapping the Rock, laps 95 through 134. Ernie Irvan continues his march toward the front, passing Harry Gant for 4th position. The second fastest qualifier, Davey Allison, came in with a problem on lap number 109. Meanwhile, on the track, a great battle for 11th position involving Sterling Marlin, Jeff Bodine, and Terry Labonte. A close call for our leader, Kyle Petty, from his in-car camera. We saw number 13, Mike Skinner, get out of shape in the second corner. Skinner nearly lost it right ahead of Kyle Petty. Let's resume our coverage now of the AC Delco 500. We go back to action on lap 135. As we resume our coverage of the AC Delco 500, here are the top 20. It's still Kyle Petty leading, Ken Schrader second, then Ernie Irvan, Alan Kulwicki, and Harry Gant. Running 6 through 10, Elliott, Wallace, Rudd, Earnhardt, and Marlin. Then 11 through 15, Morgan Shepherd, Terry Labonte, Brett Bodine, Rick Wilson, and Derek Cope. And completing the top 20, Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, Rick Mast, Bobby Hillen, and Darrell Waltrip. That's at the end of 135 laps. And here is the number 4 of Ernie Irvan challenging the 25 of Ken Schrader for 2nd spot. And Irvan just continues to march toward the front.
And we understand that Mark Martin maybe is slowing down. There he is. Bobby Hillen going by as Martin goes high. And here's Darrell Waltrip.
And it isn't going to be long before Mark Martin is lapped because the leader, Kyle Petty, is not too far behind.
And there's a spin
down in turn number 4.
Caution's flag is out. Oh, Mark Martin, you are blessed.
No kidding. I think it's, it's Larry Pearson that has spun down in turn number 4. The car came to rest on the inside of the racetrack. but it does bring out a caution flag and a lifesaver, or at least maybe a championship saver for Mark Martin.
I mean, Kyle Petty was literally in the same straightaway to lap Mark Martin. And
Yes,
Martin has fallen off the pace the last few laps, was slowing dramatically. I don't know what's wrong with his car, but he certainly was slowing down.
He certainly was. He was only about 5 seconds from being lapped before he started to slow down, and was within literally car lengths of going a lap down to Kyle Petty. But now the caution comes out. The cars will be coming in for pit stops, and Mark Martin will try to make chassis adjustments on that car again to make it start running better.
There he is. He's still trying to catch up with the field. The pace car's been out, it seems like, for 5 minutes, and he's still trying to catch up with the field.
Let's go to John Kernan in Kyle Petty's pit.
Gary Nelson and crew await the arrival of the Peak Pontiac. Kyle bringing in slowly. They will go to work on the right side, a 4-tire change. They will put on 4 sticker tires, very carefully cleaning away the windshield. With the way the sun sets in the afternoon, it's very important to have a clean windshield to keep the glare off. The right side tires are changed. Now let's go down to pit road to Mark Martin's pit, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, believe it or not, Mark Martin just arrived here in the pit. That's how far behind he was, gentlemen. He just got on the pit road. They are changed right side tires, and will hustle around to the left side. And remember, he is pitting all the way up turn 4. Kyle Petty is already gone. Earnhardt is gone. And the Martin crew is now making an adjustment in the left rear. They're going to insert a rubber spacer between the springs and the left rear of the car. Remember, no Wilkes-Barre Speedway. A couple weeks ago, they took a rubber out of the right front. That was the difference that let them come back from far back in the field to win up there. Martin's car is down and away, but those guys have made a major adjustment in the chassis.
You know, Ryan Pemberton, I mentioned he made a chassis adjustment at the pit stop before this. He made exactly the opposite adjustment on the car this time. What he did the last time was dramatically the wrong way. They went back to where they were and put the rubber in the left rear spring.
Benny, one thing that's happened here this afternoon is we started the race under relatively cloudy skies. Then the sun came out for a while. Now the sun is back behind clouds again, and it certainly makes a difference in the surface of this racetrack and how the race car will handle it.
Folks, I realize it's hard to believe it. That's how sensitive these race cars are, that the sunlit or cloudy day does make a huge difference.
And that was one of the big things that we saw in qualifying, because on first day qualifying it was cloudy and even rained, and then we got some sunshine. Let's go down to Jerry, who's with Steve Meal.
Steve, we saw you working on the left rear. What, you put a rubber in there?
Yeah, we took some wedge out of the right rear, and we went ahead and put a rubber in the left rear. It's too tight in the middle, and it snaps loose coming off. So we're hoping if we take a little wedge out, it'll roll around better, and then a stiffer left rear spring probably help it coming off. But we're in pretty bad shape right now.
Last time you guys played with putting a rubber spacer in was Wilkes-Barre, and it was a great advantage for the car.
Well, I hope it works like that. It doesn't always work exactly, but we're going to hang in there and keep pitching.
Well, $1 million rides on their adjustments here today.
Indeed, the championship is at stake here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, with 2 more races to go after today. Back with more after this. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, waiting for the green flag, and the race resumes. Kyle Petty is out front. The green coming out on lap 143. Alan Kowicki is second, followed by Harry Gant, Ken Schrader, and Ernie Irvin. And we will watch to see if the chassis adjustment made on the number 6 car of Mark Martin paid off. Meanwhile, Kyle has just picked up where he left off and moves away from everybody else.
Look at that one lap, he pulls out 10 or 15 car lengths.
It's just unbelievable how that car is working.
Someone's receiving a black flag. It looks like 57 maybe?
Yeah. Ernie Irvin, let's check the Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on him. 14.9 for the driver. That is slowing down and speeding up in and out of the pits. And it took the crew 24.4 seconds to do the work. 39.3. Let's go down to John Kernan for a report on Ernie.
Well, Bob, when he passed Kowicki a while ago, the engine just kind of shut off. He thought he may have an ignition problem. I just talked to Tony Glover. Tony says, yeah, I'm not really sure what the problem is, but we think we're okay right now, and they're running in the top 5.
Yeah, they're running in 4th position, as a matter of fact. Ken Schrader is there, not too far behind Ernie, but Ernie holding on to that 4th position. Now, Kyle Petty continues to lead. Let's check the Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on Kyle. 23.9 for the crew and only 13.5 on the driver to get in and out. A total of 37.4 for Kyle Petty. So the Gary Nelson crew doing a fine job. And Kyle doing a fine job on the racetrack. Second and third position, Alan Kowicki and Harry Gant.
Again, look at the best he's looked all day. There's Mark Martin in all that traffic, Ned.
Boy, he is in heavy traffic, Benny. He came out of the pits in 19th position and finds himself just locked in, cars behind him, in front of him, and beside of him.
And all he can do is try to go forward as best he possibly can. The 47, the blue and white car, Jack Pennington.
Now
he's a lap down.
He's going to get into a 3 abreast here, coming off the 4th corner with Pennington in the middle and the number 20 car, Jimmy Hensley, on the inside. But he survived that.
We see Davey Allison down on the inside. Davey had an ignition problem and is many laps down.
Spent many laps in the pits.
Yellow 75, that's Rick Wilson, the Dinner Bell Oldsmobile. Here's the Bodine brothers, the green car, 26, Brad Bodine. His older brother Jeff back in the Bud Ford. Carolyn Marlin, Sunoco Oldsmobile, and there's Bobby Hill in Snickers Buick.
Cars to the inside are Chad Little in 19 and Larry Pearson in 41. His spin down in turn 4 brought out the most recent yellow, but he's running again.
Larry had just gone a lap down not long before he spun out.
23 cars are on the lead lap with 149 laps completed of this 492 lap affair. And now Ernie Irvin and the 33 car of Harry Gant.
Gant running third, Ernie Irvin in 4th, trying to take over the 3rd position. Boy, look at him drive into the turn, Bob.
Yeah, he's driving down on the low side of the racetrack, pulls alongside of Harry. And as they come off the 4th corner onto the tri-oval, he picks up the spot. But no, all of a sudden something happened and he lost 2 spots.
That's that same problem that John Kern was talking about. The car just it came off the corner and shut off. Now it's back up to power again.
There must be a short in that thing somewhere. It's just losing the power to the engine. Then it picks back up and goes.
Remember, on the parade lap, the very first lap he went around, he had to come in and change the ignition, and evidently there's something else wrong with the car.
When it runs well, but you can't make much headway when it keeps cutting out.
Yeah, we can see he's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Let's go to John, who's with Tony Glover.
Tony, we just saw an illustration of the problem. Do you have any idea what it is?
At this point right now, we don't. We're still looking at some things. Hopefully, if we can get a caution a little bit, we're going to bring it in and try to see if we can find out the problem.
What would be the first thing that you would check?
Well, we're checking the coil wire, checking the ignition box to make sure all the connections are still good. I'm not sure if it's there or somewhere under the dash.
Well, right now they've got their fingers crossed that he can hang on to the next caution and see if they can get that problem fixed.
Well, he had moved to 3rd, but then the thing cut out and he went back to 5th. Now he's up to 4th, having passed Ken Schrader, and now he sets his sights once again on Harry Gant.
That's what it has to be, some type of loose connection, broken wire, something in the wiring harness. Because we saw the car just dramatically shut off.
And then just pick up and take off again.
Once again, a reminder about our Sports 1-900 number. $1.95 for the first minute, $1 for each additional minute. The latest news from the Winston Cup scene. Plus, you can punch in the number of your favorite driver and hear comments about what's going on in his particular world and comments on this race. That's the 1-900 Sports 1 system, available all week long. Irvin chasing Harry Gant for 3rd spot. Gant high, Irvin low. This may be a change of position here. Ernie drives right around him. Let's see if it sticks. Last time the car cut out right here, but it looks like everything's okay this time, and Ernie has 3rd spot.
Car is fast when she hits on all 8 cylinders.
I'll tell you what, if Harry Gant knew that he had that problem, he'd probably back up a few more car lengths, because you certainly don't want to be right behind him when the thing shuts off.
Yeah.
Because right there, the cars are running 120 miles an hour. Watch the 33 car, folks, as it accelerates down the straightaway up to about 130. Now, 150, right there, 150 miles per hour.
Kyle Petty putting another lap on Rick Jeffrey in car number 2, Kentucky Fried Chicken Chevrolet. inside in the Jason Binoculars in-car camera. We ride with Kyle Petty. Now the bumper cam looking back at the rest of the field. How about Dale Earnhardt? How's he doing? Well, he's about a quarter of a straightaway behind, quarter of a lap behind. There he is in the number 3 car, running in 7th position at the moment. And how about Mark Martin, the points leader?
Well, he continues to lose positions, Bob. There's Hutch Strickland trying to move around him in the car number 12. We saw him in a heavy traffic there a moment ago with Dale Jarrett and several others. But Jarrett has since passed him and several other cars have passed. Now Hutch Strickland trying to move around Mark Martin, but at least he's sort of there by himself, no one directly in front of him, so he has a little running room.
Mark Martin is in 19th position, 14 seconds behind this man, the leader, Kyle Petty, car 42.
The 4 car has finally quit.
Yep, Ernie Irvin is slow on the racetrack over between turns 3 and 4. He's down to the apron and now is headed for pit road. Boy, a tough break for Ernie.
Tony Glover mentioned, now it's going again.
Now it's going again.
The car has caught fire and it's going again.
Well, you can't win a race that way, so maybe Ernie would think about coming in and getting the problem solved. We'll keep an eye on that situation. Meanwhile, we'll take this break and be back with more of our coverage of the AC Delco 500. Recapping the Rock laps 160 to 208. Kyle Petty continued to dominate, but our points leader, Mark Martin, had a close call making contact with Rick Wilson. And there was also a close call for Kyle himself. Coming out of turn number 4, he had slight contact with Larry Pearson. We pick up the action now at Rockingham on lap 209. ESPN Speed World today at the AC Delco 500 in Rockingham, North Carolina. Kyle Petty, and we are riding with him right now, continues to just dominate this race. He took the lead on the 50th lap and has held it since. We're now just a little more than 200 laps into this race. He was dominant here at this racetrack in March, and one of the reasons people give him credit for that was because his work with the radial tire. The radial tire is somewhat new to Winston Cup racing, taking over for the bias ply. Here's Ned Jarrett with a look at the difference between the 2 types of tires.
The radial tire.
Radial tires are not new to consumers, but they are relatively new to racing. To learn more about them, we went to the Goodyear Technical Center in Akron, Ohio. There's been a major transformation going on in the last couple of years as far as the tires that are used in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. The bias ply tire has been the dominant tire of the past, but the radial tire will be the dominant tire of the future because of the development by Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Now, when you look at these 2 tires, there's not much difference, but let's take a look inside. The body of a basic tire is constructed of rubber-coated cord fabric called plies. In a radial tire, these plies run directly across the tire from bead to bead, perpendicular to the direction of the travel of the tire. A belt runs in the opposite direction of the plies, providing more strength in the bead area, making the radial more puncture resistant. This comparison of the bias versus radial shows the bias plies run diagonally across from bead to bead for strength. The cords of the outside layer are laid in the opposite direction, resulting in a crisscross pattern. A bias ply tire will expand under racing conditions and stretch by overinflation. Radials won't do this. Before a radial is put on the manufacturing line, it is put through computer tests. They're put on simulated tracks, given stress tests, so Goodyear engineers can look for stress problems and even put on a suspension to see how they react there. Once they pass this test, the order then is sent through to the plant and manufacturing begins. Once the tire is completed, it's test time. After it passes the track test, it's put into competition, and basically it's been a smooth transition. The first radial used in competition was in 1984 in a Formula One event in Brazil. For the Indy cars, it was in Portland, Oregon, also in 1984. It wasn't until April 1989 at North Wilkesboro that the radials were used in NASCAR, and it has taken some drivers a while to figure them out. But one who wasted no time was Dale Earnhardt, who won the first race on radials in NASCAR last spring.
And certainly another guy who has figured out the radial tire is Kyle Petty and his crew chief, Gary Nelson. Let's go talk with him. Here's John.
Well, Gary, we were talking about the radial tire. What exactly was your involvement in developing the tire?
We did a lot of testing with Goodyear over through 1988 and 89, and then this year we've just really worked very hard on it. And I think the biggest part is the way Kyle drives the tire. It's, you know, we've got the same kind of equipment that a lot of the other guys can have, but Kyle's just so perfect with the radial, and I got to give a lot of credit to him.
So no unfair advantage for you because you worked so much in developing it.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that hurt us any doing all the testing with Goodyear, you know, in 88 and 89, but you know, all the other teams have been doing a lot of testing, and here Kyle still is out front. So the common denominator is really Kyle Petty.
Well, he's thinking about the radials now, but he's also been calculating gas mileage as they're due for a pit stop in just a few laps.
Kyle Petty dominating this race at the moment. Let's check the top 20 at the moment, with Petty leading. Running in second position is Alan Kulwicki, followed by Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, and Ken Schrader. The 6 through 10, Rudd Marlin, Dale Earnhardt runs 8th, then Jeff Bodine and Ernie Irvan, whose car continues to run on and off. 11 through 15, Terry Labonte, then Brett Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, Rick Mast, and Darrell Walter. Running in 16th position is Mark Martin, and he is the last car on the lead lap. 17 through 20, Bobby Hillin, Rick Wilson, Dale Jarrett, and Dick Trickle are all a lap down. Dick Trickle is coming into the pits in the 66 Phillips 66 car.
Green flag pit stops are coming up, but I believe this one's a little bit earlier than they expected. In fact, they're not going out to change tires like they normally would. They're going under the hood of the prop-hearted Pontiac.
But as you indicated, we're not that many laps away from regularly scheduled pit stops.
And Mark Martin is not that far away from being lapped. There we see Mark Martin, and I'm sure that we're going to pan back and see just behind him is Kyle Petty. About 2 seconds behind Mark Martin is our leader, and he's desperate. There he is.
Yeah, Dennis, it's less than a second and a half now.
We were in a position similar to this earlier, and the yellow flag came out. There is Dale Earnhardt, and look at Ernie Irvan. He's continuing to go fast when the car is running, but it doesn't run all the time. Now, if the race were to end right now, Martin would maintain the points lead, but the deficit would be cut. 22 points. Dale Earnhardt would be behind Mark Martin going to Phoenix. That's if the race ended right now, but we're a long way from the finish. Let's go to Jerry Punch with a report on Dick Trickle.
Indeed, it was a little bit early for a scheduled pit stop. We would expect to see others come in a few laps, but the problem with Dick Trickle, as you saw the hood go up, they have broken a valve in the engine, and apparently they will push the car back toward the garage area and call it a day. Tough luck for last year's Rookie of the Year.
So Dick Trickle is out of competition.
Kyle Petty's coming in the pits.
Here comes Kyle. This is a regularly scheduled stop. John Kernan will report on the pit stop by our leader.
Kyle Petty once again brings the car in carefully into the pits. A 4-tire change. Gary Nelson says they will go with 4 sticker tires. They need a good stop here since it is under green, although they did have a pretty good lead built up. Right side tires going on, and now the lugs are tightened. They will bring the jack around. The lugs have already been loosened on the left side. Jack goes underneath. They've not made a chassis adjustment. Tires going on. It looks like a pretty good pit stop as he gets the windshield clean. They've cleaned the front grille so as to keep the debris away, and Kyle is down and away.
23.4 seconds, and the other major story here besides that pit stop was that Mark Martin saved going a lap down.
Yeah, but he'll have a pit stop coming up before long. Now, Kyle Petty is a lap down to Alan Kulwicki, who is running second. Harry Gant is in the pits, and Dale Earnhardt just came into the pits.
Alan Kulwicki is in. He's running in the top 5 as we take a look at the pit stop. And here is Mark Martin. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, both Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin pitting at the same time. The reason is when Kyle Petty pitted, he forced everyone's hand as fast as he was. They couldn't afford him to be able to run for a few laps on fresh tires. He was lapless. They had to come in and pit now. Left side tires going on the Folger floor to Mark Martin. They've already put him on Earnhardt's car. He is away. Now Martin off the jack, making his way. Whoa, and Martin has the chance to wait till the tagging Terry Labonte. Now Martin headed down pit road.
A very close moment for Mark Martin as Terry Labonte was coming in and had to stand on the brakes to avoid a collision.
And there Kyle Petty goes by Mark Martin. He just went by him to put a lap on the 6 car.
And the leader, who had taken over when Kyle Petty came in the pits, is Alan Kulwicki. He now is in the pits in the Z-Rex Ford, and Bill Elliott has taken over the lead. Here we see Kowicki's pit work. He's getting 4 tires, as Kyle Petty, most everyone else did. They've been out there a while on these tires, about 100 miles. Kowicki gets his service and is away, and Bill Elliott is the leader, but he'll have a pit stop coming on the road.
We have gone a long time since the most recent caution period. We've only had 4 caution periods in this race. The last came on lap 138 for a spin. Now we're at lap 226.
And Kowicki slows dramatically. Evidently he is, oh, he's bringing back up to speed. That's right, he just left the pits. Excuse me, I thought he had run out of gas or something. I was watching a 6 and 42 and got lost, Bob, sorry.
There's Richard Petty just coming out or going into the pits, I guess, so he's pitting on the backstretch. And Bill Elliott moving up on Morgan Shepherd as Morgan gets his speed up. He just made a pit stop.
Elliott is the leader of the race, staying out there, not coming in for a stop just yet. Remember, Mark Martin has gone a lap down to the number 42 car, which will probably pick up the lead when everybody does make their pit stop. Elliott running with Brett Bodine and Dave Marcus just ahead of him. There is the 6 car. You can see he's right behind now the 42 up, Kyle Petty.
Look at that. I mean, he has closed. He was 15, 20 car lengths behind. Now he's closed up right on the bumper. Maybe they know they've got to go now. They've got to get in front of that 42 car if they're going to have a chance to gain any points at all on Earnhardt.
And maybe the handling problems that have plagued Mark Martin all day have been figured out, because he has struggled with that car since the drop of the green flag. But now is right back. And here is Bill Elliott coming in for a pit stop. Elliott slows the Coors Melling 4. Let's go to John Kernan.
Well, this crew won the World Championship title of pit crews yesterday with a fast 4-tire pit change here. Unocal 76 Challenge. They have got the right sides already on. They will swing around. Dan Elliott pulling the left front tire off. Left front goes on. Right rear already on. It looks like a pretty good pit stop. No chassis adjustment was made. Plugs are tight and Elliott is away.
Ooh, 20.6 seconds. That's a good stop.
Well, you know, that's amazing. When yesterday they won the pit crew championship with a speed of time of 24 seconds. And here's Mark Martin getting his lap back.
Mark Martin gets the lap back, and he does it under green.
Maybe this set of tires that they put on Kyle Petty's car is not quite as good or quite as fast as he had before.
Kyle Petty has some type of problem. I don't know exactly what it is, either the tires or something's wrong, because all of a sudden, there's the fellow who's really leading the race now, Jeff Bodine. He's coming in the pit.
Not anymore. As Jeff Bodine brings the Budweiser Ford down pit road, Kyle Petty goes back into the lead. Let's go to John again.
Jeff pulls it in just a little bit hot temper, and the crew go to work on the right side. He does get it stopped, though, in perfect position. Right side's coming off, going on. Left side lugs coming off the gas, going into the car. Now Pete Wright swings the jack around, gets it under. Brewer will pull the left front tire off. They've got a full load of fuel in. Left side's going on. Now just waiting, and now it is lugs are tightened, and Jeff is gone. 21.4 seconds, a very good pit stop for the Budweiser crew.
Remember, they finished second in the pit stop competition yesterday. Okay. Now, before we had this series of pit stops, Mark Martin was at the tail end of the lead lap. Now that these pit stops have completed, we're in the same situation. He's at the tail end of the lead lap again. But it was a close moment for Mark Martin on pit road. Watch the number 1 car come from the left of your screen as Dale Earnhardt pulled out. Here comes Terry Labonte.
Mark Martin starting to leave the pits, and someone told him that Labonte was coming. He stops and lets Labonte go through. Almost a collision.
A close moment, but he survives that little incident.
Now, Bob, the difference before they started making their pit stops and Kyle was about to put a lap on Mark Martin was the fact that Kyle was gaining on Martin. Now Martin has passed him and is pulling away.
So this race is far from over as far as Mark Martin is concerned, as he has new life now at the 235 lap mark. It is Kyle Petty leading, with Harry Gant running second, then Alan Kowicki, Ken Schrader, and Bill Elliott running in 5th position. So we will resume our coverage of the AC Delco 500 from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham in a moment. Recapping action at the Rock laps 235 to 260. Again, another close call for Kyle Petty, this time with Derek Hope in turn 4. Kyle is way out of shape, but saves it. We go back to action now in the AC Delco 500 on lap 261. ESPN's coverage of the battle for the Winston Cup today at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham and the AC Delco 500. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By First Brands Corporation, makers of STP oil treatment. And by Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world. And the top 10 here at Rockingham. Kyle Petty, the leader. Alan Kowicki is second, followed by Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, and Ken Schrader. 6 through 10, it's Sterling Marlin, Ernie Irvin, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, and Mark Martin. Mark Martin is the last car on the lead lap. We've completed 261 laps of this race. There's the leader, Kyle Petty, who seemed to drop back a little bit earlier, but now seems to have the car working better.
Well, but Rick Mass just went around him, and here's Kyle running on the low side of the racetrack. Is he about to come in?
He's off the pace, Ned. The car is slowing.
He's got the car in the low groove of the racetrack. He's not going to make a pit stop, but yeah, it is off the pace.
I think he's lost a cylinder.
He has lost a cylinder. Now, he didn't lose it. Something broke in the engine is what we're trying to say.
And running on 7 cylinders.
A significant development for Kyle Petty. You can see, look at him looking in the rearview mirror and watching everyone go around him.
Boy, that has to be a frustrating feeling. Let's go to John Kernan in the pit.
Well, Ned, Gary, I guess you really don't know other than the fact that he lost a cylinder.
We don't even know that. It's just, he said the motor's slowing down, his gauges look good, so we're going to have to figure out what's going on here in a minute.
Very disappointed after a very strong, dominating run down here in the Peak Pits.
Things were going so well, he took the lead on the 50th lap and had literally held it ever since.
He's still leading the race. He is still the leader of the race, but Kowicki, the second place car, the 7th car, there he is. Here he comes.
He's coming off the 4th corner and closing in on the leader. So when he moves around Kyle Petty, Alan Kowicki will assume the top spot.
And fellas, this is a big break for Mark Martin because Kyle Petty was coming up not but about 5 or 6 car lengths behind him to put a lap on him. Here's Mark now. He's pretty comfortable out on the racetrack, pretty far in front of Alan Kowicki.
Ooh, and look, Mark Martin almost spin the car out coming off the 4th. Did you see that, Mom?
He was really loose coming off there.
Wow.
Back end really got around on him, but he saved it. And boy, Mark Martin has had the brakes go his way really today. He hasn't been in a competitive situation. Here's Alan Kowicki now trying to take the lead away from Kyle Petty. He hasn't been up front all day, however, has had brakes go his way, keeping him on the lead lap, and Alan Kowicki does take the lead.
There's Brent Bodine coming around as well. Brent is a lap down, so he would like to move around Alan Kowicki and get back in the lead lap. Harry Gant now moves up closer to Kyle. He is running in 3rd position at the moment. To watch out the windshield, Kyle Petty.
Well, Petty was so strong in this race, and you know he won the race here in the spring and dominated and was looking so strong here this afternoon. But now Alan Kowicki, who last won in 1988 at Phoenix, takes the lead, and of course that's where we'll be next. Phoenix, Arizona. Harry Gant and the number 9 car of Bill Elliott now begin to close in on Kyle Petty.
This is looking outside of Kyle Petty's car at the 9 car. There, Harry Gant goes by for 2nd spot. Bill Elliott right behind. That's the guy that Ned said was going to run well today, and he has, Ned.
Well, he has run well, Benny, but he has not run as well as I thought he would. I thought he would go to the front and dominate like Kyle Petty has been doing, but he has certainly kept his Ford up there in the top 5 most of the time. Let's go back to the pits and John Kernan for more on Kyle Petty's situation.
Well, Ned, they think that it is an ignition problem. They have asked Kyle to try switching over to the backup coil. Some teams carry 2 coils in the car, and Kyle is able to make that switch. He said that Gary told Kyle to stay out on the racetrack. He will not pit until he gets lapped. And right now, the Peak crew is going to work to getting the necessary parts to replace the ignition system to have a new ignition box out along with a new coil.
So Kyle Petty has experienced problems as far as ignition is concerned, and so has Ernie Irvin during the afternoon. But Irvin continues to run in the top 10. At the moment, he is 7th, despite the fact that that car keeps hitting and missing.
And as you speak, Bob, Derek Cope has pulled his Purelator Chevrolet into the garage area out of the race. He was running in 21st place 2 laps down.
Riding with Kyle Petty as he continues to struggle with that car. Mark Martin, meanwhile, how about him? Well, he's back in 10th place, as we indicated. Running there with Rick Jeffrey in the white car and the 98th Mass. The 98th and 3. There's Dale Earnhardt, not too far ahead of Mark Martin. He is closing in on Dale.
And one position separates the two cars.
But Mark just went high coming off of turn 2. Went very high, and Rick Mast moved around him. He lost a little bit of ground that time to Earnhardt.
Earnhardt 49 points behind in the battle for the Winston Cup. If Mark Martin can finish ahead of Dale in the next 3 races, he will be assured of the title. There's a number 11 car of Jeff Bodine. It's running in 9th place.
Michael Walter, the Country Time Maxwell House Pontiac, is behind Jeff. Younger brother of Darrell Walter.
Michael is 1 lap down, currently being shown in the 20th position.
Alan Kulwicki, our leader of the 28 car, Davey Allison. Outside pole center had some problems earlier on.
There is Harry Gant staying ahead of Bill Elliott in 2nd spot. Remember, the leader of the race is Alan Kulwicki, and then Gant and Elliott.
You talked about at the top of the show about the new chassis setup that Bill Elliott has. Harry Gant has exactly the same thing under his car.
And that is a Banjo Matthews front steer concept. Banjo has been known for years and years and years of building rear steer concepts, but now he's building front steer, and his design is a little bit different, I guess, than that of Mike Laughlin, who is probably the best known of the front steer car builders.
Harry Gant finished 11th here in the March race. Alan Kulwicki was 27th. Experiencing a problem with the timing chain on that car, but he is the leader at the moment. His best finish this year is 2nd in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona.
Bob, not too long ago, we only had 10 cars in the lead lap. As you look at that tremendous crowd here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, but now we have 12 cars in the lead lap. Both Terry Labonte and Rick Mast have gotten back in the lead lap. Of course, it's Alan Kulwicki leading, Harry Gant 2nd, Bill Elliott 3rd, Ken Schrader 4th, Kyle Petty now 5th, 6th is Sterling Marlin, 7th Ernie Irvin, 8th Jeff Bodine, 9th Dale Earnhardt, 10th Rick Mast, 11th is Mark Martin, and 12th is Terry Labonte.
And there is Labonte just ahead of Kulwicki.
Last car on the lead lap. Now, he had gone a lap down to Kyle Petty, but when Kyle slowed down, that put him back in the lead lap, but now he is about to go a lap down again before he can get around him.
Talked about how Kyle was dominating this race. You know, back in 1973, a driver led 887 of the 984 laps in the 2 races here at Rockingham. Who do you suppose that was, Benny?
Richard Petty.
No.
Who? Oh, David Pearson.
Oh, you cheated again.
Yeah, you were holding the thing right in front of my eyes.
Quit looking over my shoulder, Benny.
Surely Richard Petty.
Well, there goes Labonte a lap down once again.
So now there are 11 cars. Right.
Boy, Alan Kulwicki sure would like to salvage this season by taking home the checkered flag here this afternoon. Can he do it? Well, we've still got a little over 200 laps to go in this 492-lap race at Rockingham. With exactly 200 laps to go, it's Alan Kulwicki leading the AC Delco 500 here at Rockingham, with Bill Elliott 2nd and Harry Gant, Ken Schrader, and Sterling Marlin. Completing the top 10, it's Kyle Petty, Jeff Bodine, Rick Mast, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. So Alan Kulwicki brings Springfield, Wisconsin driver who is still looking for sponsorship for 1991. Xerox has already announced that they will not support the cars looking for sponsorship, but he's leading the race. The 6 car is again within sight of the leader and stands to go a lap down. But look at the 3 car, so is it.
Man, yeah, they could both go a lap down here pretty shortly. The 6 car has not been handling very good, or he's been slipping and sliding on the racetrack, but evidently Earnhardt's slipping and sliding more because Martin is catching him while Alan Kulwicki is catching both of them.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who is with Steve Meal. Jerry?
Well, Steve, the good news is that you're gaining on Earnhardt. The bad news is that Kulwicki's gaining on you. Where do you stand as far as the catch is concerned?
Well, we fixed the car a lot better than it was when the race started, or we wouldn't be where we are, but we're still not as good as we need to be. We're anxious to get a caution, and everybody not getting lapped, and come in here and work on it a little bit more. We've got a couple major things we want to try yet. We're obviously not good enough to win right now, but we're going to do the best we can with what we've got.
I would love to see a yellow flag here in the Folger pit, Bob.
Neither of the contenders for the Winston Cup have run well here today. Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt have both had problems.
And we saw Martin bobble up in the corner, almost lose control of the car. We saw Richard Petty just a moment ago smoking the right rear tire. It looks like he's gotten a wall up there, and a fender is rubbing the tire.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke coming from that STP Pontiac, and he's headed into the pits on the backstretch as Alan Kulwicki now about to put a lap on Mark Martin.
Boy, Mark has got to hate this. He absolutely has got to hate this.
But he also hopes that since he's a lap down, he said, go on and catch Earnhardt now, put him a lap down.
He's praying, no caution flag now. Please, let Kulwicki pass Earnhardt before caution flag comes up.
That has to be damaging psychologically. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Richard Childress.
We're standing with Richard Childress. Richard, your car just not handling as well as you'd like it. You guys have struggled with trying to get the car dialed in.
Yeah, the car's been too tight all day long, and we're just going to try to keep adjusting on it, keep making different adjustments, and see what we can do with it.
Kulwicki's coming in a hurry.
Yeah, he's only about a second from lapping us right now. We're going to pit here in about 15 laps, and maybe we can make another adjustment.
They're struggling here in the Goodrich pits. They would like to see a yellow flag right now.
So far, Earnhardt has been able to stay on the lead lap, but Mark Martin is a lap down.
You see Dale Earnhardt right behind him is a 7 car, right behind him is a 6 car, and if we go back just a little bit more, we'll see the 9 car. What we've been watching on this, Bill Elliott, he's gaining on the 7. There he is. Bill Elliott comes in the picture.
Once again, Martin was loose coming off the 4th corner. He has really struggled with that race car.
He has his hands full.
Sure does.
And certainly when you get in traffic, that doesn't help any because the air coming off of the other cars will make it even a little bit more looser.
The 98 car of Rick Mast. Boy, you got to take your hat off and salute this guy for the great run that he has had this afternoon. Rick Mast driving the Travis Carter car. There he is, the Banquet Frozen Foods Planters Peanuts machine, and he remains in the top 10, 8th as a matter of fact. We will tell you that Mark Martin has also been passed by the 9 car of Bill Elliott, running 2nd in the race.
But Rick Mast is having the best ride for that 98 car that we have seen maybe this year.
This is the same car that Rick Mast last year, 1989 Daytona, almost won the Daytona 500, finished 6th in the car.
And now there is the interval between the leader, Alan Kulwicki, in number 7, and Dale Earnhardt, as Earnhardt tries to stay on the lead lap. But here is Kulwicki closing in on the GM Goodrich Chevrolet. They come out of turn number 4.
Down in turn 1, 150 miles an hour, slowing down to about 120 at this point.
Alan Kulwicki on the top side of the racetrack. Earnhardt is on the bottom. They come out of the 2nd corner. Down the backstretch, they're side by side, and Earnhardt holds off the challenge for the moment, but now they go into turn number 3. Once again, Kulwicki is up high, and Earnhardt is down low. Dale just won't give up. He refuses to go a lap down, and he stays on the lead lap at the moment. Meanwhile, here is the 25 car of Ken Schrader as it is running now in the 4th position.
Putting a lap on the Brett Bodine automobile. Look, Kulwicki alongside Earnhardt, he goes in the corner, has the spot now, but they'll be able to come back.
I believe he's going to hold on. Oh, he bobbles a little bit there in the fourth turn. Kowicki sideways just slightly, allowing Earnhardt to fight back. A tenacious Dale Earnhardt refusing to go a lap down.
Some traffic right in front of him, some heavy traffic.
Now, Earnhardt is giving him plenty of racing room up there, but the outside groove is not the fastest place. Well, depending on how your car is set up, but I don't think it is the fastest. You see, Kowicki moves back to the inside once he got around Earnhardt.
Now he has passed Dale Earnhardt and put him a lap down. So both Earnhardt and Mark Martin, the two contenders for the Winston Cup, are a lap down.
Wow. I'm sure they didn't intend for it to come down this way, Bob.
Boy, I tell you, neither one of them have been on the money today. We're about 10 laps away from scheduled pit stops. Alan Kowicki has had some pretty good finishes here in the last 4 races. The 98 car of Mast is making a pit stop.
This would be a scheduled pit stop, maybe a little bit earlier than some thought, but they just certainly didn't want to run out of gas. The car was again to get a little loose for him, so he'll change 4 tires. Travis Carter and the crew on the Van Quick Planters Peanut Chevrolet.
We see them working on the left rear. They're evidently, we see the quarter panelers dangling away from the car. Evidently, someone is right in the back of him or something. We see the whole sheet metal flattened.
Understand that he and Richard Petty may have had a collision on the backstretch just ahead of the leaders a few laps ago, causing that problem. But now they send Rick Mast back out onto the racetrack. He does drop out of the top 10, however. Alan Kowicki is the leader of the AC Delco 500 here at Rockingham. Back with more of our coverage right after these messages. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Purolator, the world's largest filter company. At the 1989 AC Delco 500, Jim Sauter and number 44 used pit strategy to take the early lead. But Dale Earnhardt swept by on the 36th lap to gain the top spot. Dale, points leader Rusty Wallace, and Ricky Rudd staged a great battle, exchanging the lead 9 times in a period of 50 laps. Before the halfway point, Davey Allison, Darrell Waltrip, and Alan Kowicki all spun in turn 1. While Rudd waited for the track to clear, he was nailed by Jimmy Spencer. With Harry Gant's in-car camera, you can feel the impact of the turn 1 concrete. This spin involving the Winston Cup contenders had an even greater impact for Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin, knocking Dale to a 20th place finish. After 5 runner-up finishes in 1989, Mark Martin stepped up to take his first career win and could be a contender for the championship, only 128 points from the lead. Back at North Carolina Motor Speedway, Alan Kowicki races to the caution flag. Here he comes. He's going to hold off Bill Elliott. The yellow is out because of a spin over in turn number 2 involving Tom Kendall here in car number 40, the EDS car. Now, he did spin, didn't hit anything. He's pulled into his pit on the backstretch, or is trying to, but goes past the pace car. He can't get the car stopped. Maybe he has a brake problem.
Well, no, he doesn't have a brake problem. You can't go in the pits until the pace car goes on out on the racetrack and opens pit road, Bob.
Well,
you remember that.
He was in the pits, though, Benny. He didn't stop there because he would have been penalized.
Right.
Well, this is a real break for Mark Martin, and for Dale Earnhardt, too, for that matter, because both of them are struggling with ill-handling race cars. And now we're going to see a lot of action on pit road, and here they come. Let's go to John Kernan, who's in Kowicki's pit.
Well, your leader, Alan Kowicki, pulls it into the pits. We're anticipating a 4-tire sticker change. Alan is also on the radio, said, hey, there's a lot of glare on the windshield. Make sure you get the windshield nice and clean as the sun has been poking in and out. Now let's go up pit road to Dr. Darren Punch.
Right side tires already on. John is putting left side tires. And Earnhardt, had a major problem. The car was so tight. He is out of the way. Mast is off the way. Earnhardt is back. Racing into the pit road, turn 1.
Mark Martin beats Earnhardt out of the pits as they all go onto the racetrack once again after having completed this series of pit stops under caution. And we'll see how these pit stops affect the handling of both the 6 and the 3 cars.
Could be a break for the 42 car. Remember, he lost a cylinder, or if it was running on 7 cylinders, they may be able to find the problem. There we see him under the hood. They've been working on the car. Whether or not they found the problem, we'll have to wait and find out.
They thought maybe it was a burned plug wire, so they may have been able to get that fixed.
He still remained in the lead lap. He was running in 6th position before this caution.
Lining up for a restart here. They're checking the track over in the second corner to see if any liquid was put down when Tom Kendall spun over in turn number 2. Well, these pit stops have jumbled the standings somewhat. It is still Alan Kulwicki leading with Elliott, Gant, Schrader, and Marlin completing the top 5. This track fact is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
Growing up as a Boy Scout, our motto was always be prepared. Well, if you aren't prepared as a Winston Cup engine builder, you can get left behind in a heartbeat in a very long and difficult season. Behind me here are 7 short block engines waiting for assembly. These are basically the engine blocks minus the intake heads and oil pan. Now, beside me, you see 7 completed engines, roughly at $28,000 a piece, these engines. Now, if you run out of engines here between short blocks and the completed ones, here are 8 blocks here in the assembly room waiting to be assembled themselves. And you may ask, well, why would a team need 22 motors for the season? Well, when a Winston Cup team goes to the racetrack, they take 2 race cars, each having its own engine. In addition to those 2, they'll have 5 spare engines in the truck. That's 7 motors for one weekend. And believe me, they could use them all trying to find the strongest one for a race.
An engine change was certainly important for Mark Martin earlier in the weekend when he blew an engine just before the second round of qualifying, but got it changed and was the fastest second-day qualifier. Now, Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin are both a lap down as the green flag comes out. Both of them, Mast almost loses it, and here comes Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt to try to get a lap back, and they both do for the moment.
Wow, did you see Rick Mast go up in the side of Kulwicki and almost take both of them out?
Yeah, he was trying to get himself to get back in the lead lap.
And Earnhardt trying to get by Mark Martin. I think he has him, and Kulwicki's going to try to follow him. He does. Now Martin's a lap down.
And here comes Bill Elliott also. Martin goes a lap down. Elliott looks like the strong car.
The last lap, and the fourth car, Ernie Irving got together coming up turn 4 on. Both those cars almost crashed.
Here it is again. Watch the red car with yellow numerals running below Alan Kulwicki.
He went in the corner and something bottomed out, and he had to go up the racetrack to catch the car. And watch the 4 and the 9 car, the yellow and the red car, get together. Both those cars almost spun.
Ernie Irvin was completely sideways and saved it. Well, Kulwicki leads. Elliott is second.
And the 4 car, Ernie Irvin, is a lap down, but we've seen all day he is one of the best cars, one of the fastest cars there if he can get in front.
Ken Schrader, Harry Gant, and several others are battling for position. Here's Sterling Marlin, Jeff Bodine, Morgan Shepherd behind Schrader and Gant. Gant and Schrader are racing for 3rd position. Ken has it right now. Remember, he was the pole sitter of the race. The only one that can earn $30,400 in Unicalp bonus money. Here's Ernie Irvin on the top side of the racetrack.
He's a lap down, currently being shown in the 8th position, so he would like to try to get back in the lead lap.
Elliott's about 2.5 car lengths behind Alan Kulwicki, now less than that. As Dale Earnhardt is in the lead lap, Mark Martin is a lap down. Basically, as long as Mark can keep Dale in his sights, he really doesn't care if he's a lap down because Dale is only 1 position ahead of him.
But he needs to stay. The leader is between the 2. That's the problem he has now. If the caution were to come out, Earnhardt can make up a lap where Mark Martin can't do that. So he's either rooting for Kulwicki or himself. Right? I think right now he's going to have to pull for Kulwicki because he just doesn't have the muscle to get up and race with him.
Well, look at Ernie Irvin up on the outside of, trying to get on the outside of Bill Elliott.
He is on the outside.
Ooh, he's way up high.
He really went into that turn hard. He is driving that Chevrolet.
Now Sterling Marlin begins to move in on Harry Gant for 4th position. Sterling Marlin has had a good run in that Sunoco-sponsored number 94.
And he's doing that in spite of pitting on the back straightaway. Every time the caution flag comes out, he has to let all those 15, 20 cars, 26 cars, as a matter of fact, pit on the front straightaway before he can go in the pit. So he's doing that in spite of being back there.
But one thing that's working in his favor now, Ben, is the fact that there are not as many cars in the lead lap. So on the restart, the leading cars are able to move up in a line. So that is helping him as more cars get lapped.
Exactly. There's only 6 cars now on the lead lap. So he is only 6th in line rather than being 25th or so in line.
Yeah, let's make that 7th with Dale Earnhardt out in front of Alan Kowicki. So there are 7 cars in the lead lap. Earnhardt just barely is.
There goes Sterling Marlin to the inside, and he passes Harry Gant and picks up the 4th spot. Marlin moves to 4th. The 26th car there of Brett Bodine is a lap down. The 11 car of Jeff Bodine is on the lead lap. Schrader, Marlin, and Gant are all battling for position in the same lap.
You know, fellas, we've been talking about the championship battle between Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin. How about the manufacturers' championship battle? Chevrolet and Ford. Ford has won 4 races in a row coming into the AC Delco 500 here today, and have moved, what, within 5 points?
Yep, 5 points. And if Ford is leading the race, they would get 9 points. And the second place car is another Ford, then a Chevrolet, so they'd only gain, the second place car gets 6 points. They would only gain 3, but it'd still be 2 points separation between Ford and Chevrolet.
Now here comes Kowicki to the outside and trying to put Dale Earnhardt a lap down once again. Earnhardt holds off the challenge for the moment.
I think they got together a little bit back there, Woods and Earnhardt.
Let's take a look at our Western Auto race recap. Kowicki, the leader, had led 64 of the 325 laps. 5 caution periods, nothing serious. 7 cars on the lead lap. The average speed of the race is 123.637. Watch again Kowicki on the high side of the racetrack in his bid to put Earnhardt a lap down. Here are the guys that have led: Schrader, the pole sitter, then Allison, Kowicki, Marcus, Darrell Waltrip. Of course, the guy that led most of the race to this point, Kyle Petty, but he has had problems. Elliott and Jeff Bodine have also been up front. Those that have dropped out of the race: Baker, Leslie, Purvis, Ted Musgrave also dropping out. So has Dick Trickle, Bud Strickland, Mike Skinner, and Derek Cope. Now the mechanic of the year, Robin Pemberton, leads the point standings. A big award from Western Auto at the end of the year. Mike Beam in 2nd position, followed by Andy Petrie, Tim Brewer, and Danny Glad. Robin Pemberton is on top of those mechanic of the year standings. Now the Western Auto car that Darrell Waltrip, and look at Alan Kowicki, he has dropped back to 2nd position, and Bill Elliott has gone on top.
Kowicki's tried desperately to lap Earnhardt, couldn't do it. Meanwhile, Ernie Irvin's coming up there trying to get his lap back while he was racing over too. Elliott goes up and takes the lead.
Now there's the Western Auto car that Darrell Waltrip will drive next year. It was unveiled here this weekend. They made the announcement earlier in the week and then unveiled the car this morning, actually, before the race started, to the spectators that gathered here. The car that Darrell Waltrip will drive next year, sponsored by Western Auto. Well, Ned, your pick of Bill Elliott has come true here.
Well, it took a little longer than I thought it would take for him to get up front, Bob, but I had a feeling that he was going to be tough here this afternoon.
There's Ernie Irvin on the outside of Earnhardt trying to get by him. That's 4th position. Both those cars on the tail end of the lead lap.
Now there are 8 cars on the lead lap, Benny, since Irvin has gotten back in.
And Ernie could very well be the fastest car on the track at this moment.
Apparently he is, because he passed the leaders, so, yep, I think he is the fastest car.
Kowicki pulled right up on the back bumper of that 9. Of course, Mellon Ford. There's Earnhardt.
It was.
Where's Mark, Bob?
Well, he's a little bit behind.
In fact, he's a lap behind.
Yeah, he's a little bit behind Earnhardt on the racetrack, but he is a lap down, whereas Dale, at the moment, is still on the lead lap. But Bill Elliott has thoughts of putting him a lap down, and now Elliott goes on the high side of the racetrack in an attempt to do so. Slow traffic ahead. That's Jimmy Means there in number 52. Elliott pulls alongside of Dale Earnhardt going into the first turn.
But fellas, while they race, here comes Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Oldsmobile.
Making it a three-car battle up front. Elliott still trying to make a clean pass on Dale Earnhardt, and I believe he has done it.
Yes, sir. He has put Earnhardt a lap down. That makes Mark Martin breathe just a little bit easier.
Look at this. If the race were to end right now, Earnhardt would be 45 laps behind, knocking 4 off of the deficit right now.
45 points.
Yeah,
behind.
Laps, Bob. Did I say laps?
Yeah.
45 points. Knocking 4 off because he has a 49-point lead now.
Somewhere back there's Mark Martin.
There he is. Mark Martin is in 9th position at the moment. And a lap down. So the AC Delco 500 continues here at Rockingham, North Carolina, at North Carolina Motor Speedway with Bill Elliott showing the way. We're back at Rockingham in the AC Delco 500, and Sterling Marlin has caught Bill Elliott and now threatens to take the lead away from Bill. You can see the number 4 car of Ernie Irvin running ahead of Bill Elliott. He has gotten his lap back.
One of his laps.
Yes.
He's 2. Now he's 1 behind the leaders. And Sterling Marlin's on the inside of Bill. They've come off the second corner, side by side. No, Bill pulls a little bit ahead.
Now Marlin looks to the inside going into turn number 3. Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco number 94 trying to take the lead away from Bill Elliott. At the line, they're side by side into turn number 1. Let's see what happens. Alan Kowicki, 3rd place car, is watching all of this action. They're still side by side going into the second corner and now down the backstretch.
Bill got a run off the turn on the high side, kept his RPMs up, and now he drifts high. Let's see, here comes Kowicki moving up on both of them as they run side by side. That'll slow them down a little bit.
And we saw the white car just at the top of the screen. That's the 4th place car, Ken Schrader.
Great 3-car battle for the lead here. Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin, and Alan Kowicki.
Sterling Marlin will not be driving this 94 car next year. Terry Labonte will be driving this car. Sterling moving on over to Junior Johnson's team.
And there is the number 25 car of Ken Schrader running in 4th position. He is catching these 3. Marlin once again on the low side challenging Elliott.
You see some traffic up in front of these lead cars.
That could play a factor.
It sure could. When they start going 3-4 abreast, it's going to be real exciting. Side by side. How many laps is that? 4 or 5 laps now?
They were absolutely clean. They crossed the line that time.
Sterling Marlin has never won a NASCAR Winston Cup race. He won a Busch Grand National race in Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. But he has probably come closer here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway to winning than anywhere else. He's had some awfully good runs at other places, but boy, he has had some exceptionally good runs in the past here.
We see what the traffic has done. He's had to back up and pass those cars, and he's lost 5 or 6 car lengths to Bill Elliott. Looks like when Sterling has to move up high to pass cars that he has his problems. He's able to run well on the bottom, but not as well on top.
There's Sterling Marlin. At the end of the 50th lap, he was 11th. Then down to 16th, moved up to 7th position at the end of 200 laps, and now with 356 laps gone, he is 2nd and losing a little bit of ground right now.
Elliott is able to get back in his own groove now once he has moved a little bit away from Sterling Marlin. We'll see if he can stay in that groove and see if he keeps that lead or lengthen it a little bit.
Bill Elliott, the 1987 and 84 winner of the AC Delco 500. Sterling Marlin looking for his first Winston Cup win here this afternoon. And Alan Kowicki, who hasn't won since Phoenix in 1988.
this is great racing.
Earnhardt, there he is in 7th position, a lap down. Now, Ricky Rudd is on the same lap, so he goes into 7th and puts Dale back to 8th.
Exactly.
And there is,
Bedine. Of course, Bedine is on the lead lap, currently being shown in the 6th position. Now we have only 6 cars on the lead lap. For a while, it moved up to 8 or 9.
There's Kowicki trying to get by Sterling Marlin on the outside. Boy, Bill Elliott hopes this goes on for 5 or 6 laps. He'll be able to make some real hay. No, it's over too soon.
Alan Kowicki goes to 2nd place. Sterling Marlin is back to 3rd. Now, how about Mark Martin? We showed you that Dale Earnhardt was back to 8th position. How about Mark Martin? He finds himself in 10th position. And he, too, is a lap down to the field.
Darrell Waltrip just moved around him. Here comes Brett Bodine in car number 26. That would be 4th position.
Yep. Bodine is in the 11th position. And from his in-car camera, we see him closing in on the Folgers 4, driven by Mark Martin, now pulling to the inside here in the tri-oval.
Looks like he has position, and Mark Martin has no choice but back up and let him go.
So now Earnhardt in 8th position, and the 6th car Mark Martin in 11th position. That's 12 points if the race should end right now. That means it would be 37 points difference, but the race is not going to end right now, so still got quite a ways to go.
152 laps are completed out of the 492 that make up this race. The lead is held by Bill Elliott, although Alan Kowicki, since he has gotten around Sterling Marlin, has been able now to close in on Bill and is within 3 or 4 car lengths of the leader.
Sterling Marlin's car was awfully good. Looks like he's backing up just a tick now, able to keep the leaders in sight. But
get set. We'll lock down our camera at the end of the tri-oval, turn number 1, and give you a chance to watch for your favorite driver to see where he is running in relationship to the leader. And here comes Bill Elliott. And we'll also time the lap. There's Schrader in 4th position.
Here again, Rusty Wallace. Not racing the position. Rusty a lap down.
Ricky Rudd. There goes Earnhardt.
In fact, Rusty is 2 laps down, Benny, currently being shown in 17th position.
Rick Wilson goes by.
Here's Richard Petty.
Dave
Marcus. Ernie Irvin. Jack Pennington. And then the leader, Bill Elliott.
And they just put another lap on Kyle Petty. Kyle spent several laps in the pits as they were working on that Peak Antifreeze Pontiac, trying to get it fixed, but it's still not running up to par.
Our clock ran like you were working it, Bob, were you?
I wondered if you'd mentioned that. Well, it didn't shut off. Let's put it that way. Well, that Pete Pontiac is certainly not running like it was early in the race. He was just absolutely dominating and moving away from everybody, and then the problem occurred, and it's not gotten much better. Top 10 currently here at the AC Delco 500 shows Elliott leading Kowicki, Marlin, Schrader, Gant, and others. Back with more after this. Back in Rockingham, Alan Kowicki makes a bid for the lead on Bill Elliott. Kowicki takes the Xerox 4 to the inside of the racetrack in turn number 4, and he's got the lead. Helped out maybe a little by Rick Jeffrey there on the high side of the track that Bill Elliott had to get off the gas for, but in any case, Kowicki has the lead.
And he ran Bill Elliott down. I think that he's going to pull away from Bill Elliott, Ned.
It looks like Bill Elliott's car maybe has gone away just a little bit. Kowicki has been strong all along, been very consistent, but Elliott's car don't think handling quite as well in the corners as it did earlier.
The 33 car of Harry Gant and the 25 of Ken Schrader are running pretty close together. This is for 4th position.
In fact, Gant just went around Ken Schrader and took over the 4th position. They're coming up on some heavy traffic. Jimmy Means and the Alpha Seltzer Pontiac goes high, lets them by.
3rd place car, of course, is Sterling Marlin. Schrader looking inside outside of Jimmy Means now.
That was a close steal there.
And Rusty Wallace just went right on by on the outside. Here's Ricky Rudd in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet coming up there. Ricky is running good, but he's a lap down.
He goes right by Ken Schrader,
his teammate.
You know, he told me something very interesting. These two cars are both owned by Rick Hendrick, and they 5 or 6 races ago started sharing information. They've been operating these teams independently of each other, but these two cars, the Waddell Wilson car, the 5 car, and the 25 car, which is led by Richard Broom, they're starting having meetings and discussing things and sharing ideas.
Was that before or after? Where was it? Dover that they had their meeting?
Martinsville,
yeah.
I think that's what came out of that.
Yeah.
Was they decided to share ideas.
Okay. Ken Schrader, fourth position. Pole sitter of the race. Didn't set a new track record in the pole position run, but it was 147.814 miles an hour.
Fellas, the green flag pit stops, they've been going about 85 to 88 laps. Now, if this thing should go green the rest of the way, they could make it with one more pit stop. That is, if they stretch the pit stop to about 90 laps. So we'll see. That's still some 20 laps away. And Schrader now moving around the Rick Jeffries car. Been about a year since Rick Jeffries has run in a NASCAR Winston Cup race. Schrader got a little loose as it went around on the outside there.
Well, as a matter of fact, Ricky Rudd, whom we talked to earlier in the weekend, talked about this working together that the Hendrick team is doing now with the Ken Schrader car.
That's pretty much how it's been in the past. You know, each team has been separately independent of each other. The only thing they actually shared was the same car owner. And something we're trying to do, and it seems to be working real well, is trying to put our heads together. If we go to a racetrack and we're having little problems, well, we sit down and we kind of all put our heads together and talk about it. And I think anytime you take 2 or 3 teams, and if you share that information, you got to be a little bit better than the guy that's only got one team.
Schrader was very complimentary to Rudd when he won the pole position and said that a great deal of the credit had to go to Ricky for the pole position that Schrader won here this weekend. Okay, here is,
Alan Kowicki trying to put Ernie Irvin 2 laps down. Ernie had got back in the lead lap, then had a flat tire, came in, and he went 2 laps down, then unlapped himself from one of those. Now about to go 2 laps down again.
Kowicki drops in behind him.
Kowicki had the thing sideways down the front straightaway.
And that heated those tires up a little bit, and he's got to let them cool off a little bit, run them in a straight line for a lap or 2 here, and as straight as he can run and still go around the turns. But let them cool off just a bit, and then maybe he can get a bite again. Ernie's still using that high groove.
And Elliott is, it would appear, closing in a little bit on Kowicki.
Yeah, Kowicki's car, you've seen the back end kick out a little bit that time as he came off of turn 2. So the car apparently is a little bit loose.
One thing you don't want to do is get the car loose on the straightaway because you don't have any bank to help you. See, when the car goes down in the corner, folks, it's banked 24 degrees there. On the straightaway, it's only banked 5 or 6 degrees. You don't have anything to help to tuck that back in there.
Once again, Allen makes a run on Ernie, but Ernie holds off. It remains only 1 lap down. The car slides high in the 4th turn again. Kowicki.
Chad Little in front of the 2. It's going to be 3 abreast if Chad doesn't back up. He did a little bit.
Allen does pass Ernie there in the 2nd turn. Let's see down the backstretch. Boy, he just won't give up.
He really won't. He wants to stay at least keep that 1 lap, but can't do it. Yes, he can.
And again, Kowicki slides off the 4th turn, and you can see Kowicki saw that wheel trying to keep it under control.
Well, certainly the tires are pretty worn now and pretty heated up. But when you start running underneath another car, well, the air there will effective on a track like this and to make the car even a little bit more loose. And so Kowicki certainly has his hands full. And he looks up in the rearview mirror and sees Bill Elliott catching him back now that he's up there racing with Irvin.
He sure does. Elliott closes in to within 2 car lengths.
Running almost the same line on the bottom of the racetrack. We see the Chevrolet of Ernie Irvin going high in the corner. This time he stayed low. The last lap he was up high. I think Ernie's really looking around trying to find the best groove or the fastest way around the racetrack.
That's lap 390. Let's see. There are 492 laps.
Get your calculator, Bob. You'll never figure it out.
The batteries are down. That's 102 laps, right?
122. Would that be close? No, 102. You're right. Yeah,
you're about as bad as Bob.
Well, yeah, I haven't had to use my brain in that capacity in a while.
You caught the Bob Jenkins disease.
They should have some pit stops coming up maybe before too long in the next, probably within the next 10 or 15 laps.
6 cars in the lead lap. There is Dale Earnhardt, who is not in the lead lap. He is, well, he's battling, trying to stave off Morgan Shepherd, who wants the 9th position. Shepherd on the high side of the racetrack as 9th spot. Morgan Shepherd is 9th, and Dale Earnhardt is 10th. How about Mark Martin? Well, there he is, battling alongside the 57 car, not for position. Mark Martin is back in 15th place.
And he's only about 3 seconds from going another lap down.
He really is. Alan Kowicki has almost, as Ned said, then we're going to pan the camera back a little bit and see Mark Martin. We saw Ernie Irvin come in the screen. There is Alan Kowicki right behind him.
He isn't that far behind. And Mark Martin stands another chance of going a lap down. However, remember now, we've got pit stops coming up here before too long. So it hasn't been a good day for Mark Martin. It hasn't been a particularly good day for Dale Earnhardt. It has been a good day for Alan Kowicki, who is leading the AC Delco 500. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, Dr. Jerry Punch back at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham for the AC Delco 500. Alan Kowicki in car number 7 leads Bill Elliott in car number 9 at the moment. However, we expect pit stops momentarily. Now, there is Mark Martin, and again, he's within a few car lengths of going a lap down, another lap down. So he needs a good pit stop when we have
He needs a caution flag right now, Bob, before the next lap.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think he'll be in front of Alan Kowicki when he gets back. There Kowicki goes on the outside.
And Mark Martin goes 2 laps down to the leader.
This is not the way they planned it, I'll tell you. He may dive in the pits as soon as he gets a lap, but he probably won't be able to make the rest of the race if he does go in the pits. Boy, he is really caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I think he needs to run about maybe 3 or 4 more laps, Benny, and then he should be able to make it the rest of the way.
Harry Gant comes in. He is the first among those running in the top 10 to come in for a pit stop. Gant gives up 4th position.
One reason Harry came in early is because he did not like that set of tires. He'd been out there for about 90 miles on a set of tires he didn't like. He gets more fuel mileage than anybody else. He'll be able to make it the rest of the way without any problem, but with some better tires.
And they're going to change all 4 of the car.
He went 88 laps on that set of tires. 21 seconds, a great pit stop.
Yeah, it sure is for a 4-tire change. And the Kowicki crew gets set for him to come in for a stop. And here he comes off the banking in turn number 4. Alan Kowicki coming in for a stop. Several cars making pit stops, as a matter of fact.
Kowicki got a tough break. He had to almost stop for the 1 car to let him get in his pit.
Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Mark Martin changing right side tires. He brings the Folgers car in. Kowicki on the top of your screen. He will likewise get a left side tire change for Alan Kowicki. They're going to change all 4 tires there. Mark Martin's crew putting left side tires on his car. Mark is down and away. Kowicki still on the jack. They're trying to get left side tires on the lead car. And they're export of Alan Kowicki. Now Kowicki is down.
the pit road toward turn number 1. Mark is pitted just about halfway, maybe a little toward turn number 4, and that was a very, very good pit stop by Mark Martin's crew.
But now he needs to get back in front of the 7 car.
Here is Jerry Punch again with a call of Earnhardt stop.
Goodrich crew going to work what should be the final stop of the race, the final scheduled stop we should add. They are changing right side tires, putting both cans of fuel in. Let's check in the Bill Elliott pit with John Kernan.
A 4-tire change in progress. Bill coming in just a little bit hot, had to lock up the tires. Right side's already on. They are really flying on this stop. Dan Elliott pulling the front tire off. Ernie rolling the front tire to him. Dale Earnhardt coming down the pit road. Elliott down off the jack, and he is away.
Elliott blasting out of the pits, but here comes Earnhardt. And they race on the apron of the racetrack, and Earnhardt moves ahead of Bill as they blend into traffic, and now Ken Schrader, who was the leader of the race, comes in. Go to work on the right side of that car. 4-tire change coming up. Chad Little also coming in. They go to the other side of Schrader's car now as the fuel is completely in, still working on the left side of that car.
They're working on inside the car. They're doing something inside the car. I don't know exactly what they were doing.
Well, it took 25.3 seconds to do whatever they were doing, and Ken Schrader moves back out.
It's almost like they're working on the radio or something there where they didn't have radio communication.
The 11th car of Jeff Bodine has not made the pit stop, and so he is the leader of the race. But look at Mark Martin chasing Alan Kulwicki.
Now, Kulwicki.
And Bodine is coming in.
And here comes Jeff Bodine in the pits, but Kulwicki came out behind Bill Elliott. So once these pit stops are all made, Elliott's going to be the leader of the race. Let's go to the pits and John Kernan.
Once again, a 4-tire change for the Budweiser crew. Tim Brewer and company going to work on the right side. Left side lugs will come off. They have not made a chassis adjustment. So Jeff apparently happy with the way the car has been handling. Now the lights are on. They swing around to the left side, getting it on. A pretty good pit stop in motion here, I think. Pete Wright waits to make sure the lugs are tight, pulls the jack out, and Jeff is away.
21.6 seconds. Another great 4-tire change by the Tim Brewer crew.
It's amazing how they can do that in competition when yesterday, of course, they were in competition with each other as far as pit stops were concerned in the Unical pit crew competition, and it took them 24 seconds.
Sure is. Now Martin once again is right on the back bumper of Alan Kulwicki.
But Kulwicki is not the leader of the race. Bill Elliott is the leader of the race. There he is, running along pretty smoothly out front. In fact, you see now there comes Kulwicki into the picture, so Elliott has about a 2.5 second lead.
Kulwicki is second.
The difference is going in the pits. We saw how Alan Kulwicki had to slow down because of the 1 car. Bill Elliott, I was watching him as he came down pit road. He never broke stride. He made a great entry in the pit road at full speed, stop. They made the stop. He's able to leave at full speed. That's the difference in the position on the racetrack.
Sterling Marlin is third, Harry Gant fourth, Schrader is fifth, and Jeff Bodine is sixth. Those 6 cars, the only ones on the lead lap.
Rick Mast, you see on the bottom of the screen there, going back out of the pits. He had made a pit stop about 5 laps ago, was back in again. That great run that he had going earlier has been sort of aborted by some extra pit stops. Rick back in 20th position now.
And Mark Martin passing the number 40 car of Tom Kendall.
Did he win a championship with Kendall?
Yeah, a Trans Am championship. Yep. There is the leader, Bill Elliott, and right behind him is Darrell Waltrip in the 17 car. And just ahead of Elliott is Dale Earnhardt. Here comes Waltrip moving inside of Bill. Let's check the Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on Elliott. 19.5 for the crew. Boy, a great change of tires and fueling of the car. 13.3 for the driver. Only 32.8 seconds for that pit stop for Bill Elliott. That is unbelievable, and that shows you why they won that pit stop competition yesterday.
Great stop.
Now how about Alan Kulwicki? Let's check him. There he is, running second in the race. His driver time was 13.3. The crew was much slower, 22.2. And the total was a little more than 3 seconds slower, 36.1 total for Alan Kulwicki.
That's about how far he is behind on the racetrack.
414 laps are completed.
Mark Martin's not chasing the 7 car anymore, we noticed. The 7 car is driven away from him.
Let's go to John Kernan with more on that Unical pit stop competition from yesterday here at Rockingham.
Well, Bob, I was talking to Mike Dean, the crew chief for Bill Elliott's car this morning. I said, hey, what did you guys do differently to enable you to win that pit crew competition? He shrugged his shoulders. He said, yeah, we didn't really do anything differently. He said, the problem was it was lunchtime. The guys were hungry and the cafeteria was starting to fill up, so they needed to hurry up and get finished and so they could get a table.
Well, I don't know about that. They did an outstanding job yesterday, changing 4 tires and fueling the car. And of course, NASCAR assesses penalties if you don't get the lug nuts tight and if you leave any fuel. So they did their job, and they did it very, very well. We're riding, by the way, with Kyle Petty. He's running at the inside of the racetrack off the pace after a domination of the early going of this AC Delco 500. But ignition problems has slowed his car significantly. The leader of the race is Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, over Alan Kulwicki, Sterling Marlin, Harry Gant, and Ken Schrader. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome to ESPN Speed World, coverage of the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Purolator, the world's largest filter company. By Xerox Antifreeze Coolant, the temperature never drops below Xerox. And by Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. Here are the top 15 here at Rockingham after 433 laps. Bill Elliott leads Alan Kulwicki, Sterling Marlin is 3rd, then Harry Gant and Ken Schrader. In 6th is Jeff Bodine. Ricky Rudd is 7th, and Morgan Shepherd, Darrell Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt is 10th. 11th is Mark Martin. 12th, Bobby Hillen, Terry Labonte 13th, Ernie Irvin 14th, and Brett Bodine is in 15th position.
So you can see our point leaders are running just 1 position apart.
Yep.
And our leaders, Bill Elliott and Alan Kulwicki, are running 1 car length apart.
Very close together as Alan has battled back several laps. A couple of laps ago, they made slight contact. Watch this.
This is coming off the 2nd corner. And Kulwicki almost gets in the side and spins both the cars out.
They continue to run very close together. Alan Kulwicki within a car length of Bill Elliott. As Elliott tries to win his 2nd race in 5 outings. And Kulwicki now goes to the top side of the racetrack. This may be the higher and faster line. They're through 3 side by side. Elliott inching ahead. Kulwicki coming back on the outside. They come up a 4 and through the trioval. At the line, they're side by side. Kulwicki just a bumper ahead of Elliott as they cross the line. And now going into turn number 1, Kulwicki passes Elliott and takes the lead.
Alan Kulwicki is now leading the AC Delco 500 with just 5 laps to go.
Ooh, does he need his calculator?
I must be using Ned and Bob's calculator.
There are 438 laps gone. Alan Kulwicki, can you believe this, is in sight of his 2nd Winston Cup win and his 1st since 1988 late. His best finish this year was at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Bill Elliott, on the other hand, as I said, is going for his 2nd win in 5 outings. He won at Dover, was 8th at Martinsville, 4th at North Wilkesboro, and 15th at Charlotte most recently.
The race he dominated until he had a problem in the last 100 or 150 miles.
We got to show you this. We taped this earlier, actually before the race started, and some people from Spencerport, New York, indicating that that I'm having trouble adding and subtracting, and the disease has affected both Ned and Benny today. So
But it says ESPN and NASCAR, number one. I agree with that.
Well, we appreciate the people from Spencerport making this a banner, showing it to us here at Rockingham. Well, Dale Earnhardt, second in Winston Cup points. There he is. And he and Kyle Petty have been running together on the racetrack for several laps. And Petty's car appears to be running better than it has at times.
Well, he's still on 7 cylinders. He can't keep up down the straightaway. But just watch him close up on the back bumper of that number 3 Chevrolet in the corner. Now we see Earnhardt drive away from him. Now watch as Kyle Petty goes in turns 3. Once again, right up on the back bumper, but he's not able to get by down the straightaway.
Kyle Petty is 7 laps down in 22nd position. Now we check on the Winston Cup points leader, Mark Martin. There he is running near Richard Petty. And he is in 11th position, 2 laps down. If the race were to end right now, here's how the points would shake out. Earnhardt would be 45 behind. Remember, he went into this race 49 behind, so we would pick up 4.
It's incredible how these two cars are just sticking together the last couple of months. They run 1st and 2nd. They run 10th and 11th. They run 14th and 25th. They just seem to be glued together.
It seems like that when one has trouble, the other one has trouble, and when one runs well, the other one runs well. And once again, we remind you to dial in our 1-900 Sports 1 system. You can do this all week long and find out what's going on in Winston Cup competition. Plus, you can hear from your favorite driver by simply dialing 1-900 Sports 1 and then punching in the number. $1.95 for the first minute, $1 for each additional minute. Sports 1 system.
Of course, we're watching Alan Kowicki, the leader there. Bill Elliott in 2nd place. 3rd is Sterling Marlin. 4th, Harry Gant. 5th, Ken Schrader. 6th is Jeff Bodine. Those 6 cars in the lead lap. 1 lap down in 7th, Ricky Rudd. 8th is Darrell Waltrip, also 1 lap down. And Morgan Shepherd in 9th place. 10th place is Dale Earnhardt. He's 2 laps down. And 10th through 15th are 2 laps down. Mark Martin is 11th. Bobby Hillin 12th. 13th is Ernie Irvin. 14th, Terry Labonte. And 15th, Brett Bodine. Dale Jarrett is 3 laps down in 16th. Michael Waltrip is also 3 laps down in 17th. 5 laps down is Rick Wilson. And 18th, 19th is Rick Mast, 20th. Larry Pearson, 21st. Richard Petty, 22nd, Kyle Petty. Dave Marcus is 23rd. And in 24th is Jack Pennington, rookie driver. And people wonder about Rusty Wallace. While we were way on break, the last time Rusty Wallace went into the garage area out of the race with an engine problem.
There are the first 2, Kowicki and Elliott. And Elliott is keeping Allen in sight. It promises to be an exciting finish here of the AC Delco 500. We'll be right back. The yellow flag has just been waved because of a spin in turn 2 by Rick Mast. And here comes everybody in for more pit stops on lap 451, John Kernan.
Alan Kowicki leads Bill Elliott. They're pitted nose to tail. They will go on a 4-tire change. The right side's already going on. Elliott will also take a round of wedge. And Alan Kowicki on the top of your screen. Bill Elliott on the bottom of your screen. This is a very even pit stop right now as I see it. Left side's going on. A slight chassis adjustment made on the 9 car. No chassis adjustment on the 7. And Alan Kowicki wins the race out of the pits.
Here comes Bill Elliott out, and Mark Martin right behind him. Morgan Shepherd comes off pit road, so does Harry Gant and Sterling Marlin. And there was a good battle between the 3 and the 6 out of the pits, as both of them had simultaneous pit stops. Let's see who gets finished. Well, Mark Martin finished first, but since Earnhardt was pitted ahead of him, they came out just about even.
That was one of the old tricks. You're not getting in front of me.
We are under caution because of this spin over in turn number 2. And it started in number 1 and ended in turn 2. That's Rick Mast.
And he does not make contact with anything. He doesn't hit the wall, and no other cars hits him. He goes down, stops on the infield, on the apron of the racetrack, but couldn't get the car going. So NASCAR had to throw the caution flag, and we see him in the pits changing tires.
Rick Mast had a good run going. He was in 19th position, 5 laps down, but had run very, very well all afternoon. Back in a moment. back at Rockingham, where the green flag is just about to come out once again. Here comes Alan Kowicki leading him down for a very slow start. Now Earnhardt and Martin are both lined up on the inside of the racetrack. Remember, both of those guys are 2 laps down. Well, Dale got one back.
Yeah, he sure did.
Now it's Mark Martin's job to try to get in front of Kowicki, but Earnhardt had the preferred line on the bottom of the racetrack. I'm not sure that Mark Martin's able to get down to get that preferred line.
Kowicki leads the race with Bill Elliott running second. There's Harry Gant in third. Scramble for position in the middle of the pack. There's number 11, Jeff Bodine, the 15 of Morgan Shepherd. Ricky Rudd is in number 5. Sterling Marlin in 94. Marlin running in 6th position.
Chad Little was given the black flag that time by from NASCAR. I'm not sure exactly what, but watch Ricky Rudd and Morgan Shepherd. Oh, Sterling Marlin almost loses it up in turn 3. We saw Rick Master that earlier today. They go in the corner and there's a bump there. The car bottoms out and up the hill it goes.
Well, he lost several positions on the racetrack, but didn't lose any.
I believe he's got a problem, fellas. I believe he has a flat or something.
Could very well be, because he is off the pace dramatically from what he's usually been running.
He was 6th, the last car on the lead lap. And he is slowed significantly. Right front on Marlin's car is flat, we understand. The 25 and the 11 are racing for position. Schrader and Jeff Bodine. Mark Martin is right behind Jeff. That's Ernie Irvin in car number 4, ahead of Schrader.
Now, Sterling Marlin did not go in the pits. He's pitting on the backstretch, but he stayed out there that time. So, I don't know. Maybe it just felt like it was flat, and after he made that near spin up there, and decided to ride it out for a lap or two and see.
There's Rudd on the inside of the Mark Martin automobile. And the 15 car coming up, Morgan Shepherd. The 5 and the 15, I think, are...
Yeah, they're racing for position. They're each a lap down.
According to the rundown, Morgan is 2 laps down.
Yeah, okay. He had just got lapped before, not long before that last caution. You're right, Denny.
Out of race, Charlie Baker, Tracy Leslie, and Jeff Purvis in Neil Bonnett's car. Musgrave, Trickle, and Strickland dropped out. And most recently, Skinner, Derry Cope, and Rusty Wallace, who at this time a year ago was in contention for the Winston Cup Championship. And of course, he went on to win it. What a difference a year makes. He currently finds himself 5th in the Winston Cup points.
And Mark Martin, just in the last lap, almost got him together with Morgan Shepherd up in turn 3 and went high on the racetrack, but was able to recover.
Kowicki still leads the race, with Bill Elliott running second, but Dale Earnhardt is positioned ahead of Alan Kowicki. The Mechanic of the Race Award from Western Auto goes to Richard Broom of the Ken Schrader team. Our congratulations to Richard on being chosen Mechanic of the Race.
And there goes Kowicki on the outside of Earnhardt, but not able to make the pass stick. Having to go that long way around. He's going to try it once more down in turn 3.
It's been 55 races since Alan Kowicki won his first and only Winston Cup race. And remember what happened after he took the checkered flag? He made what he calls a Polish victory lap by running in the opposite direction around the racetrack. I wonder what he has planned for this afternoon should he continue to lead and win this race.
I bet it'll be something special.
You see Darrell Earnhardt, that was a nice move. He just backed off and let those 2 guys go and race for the win.
He sure did. A nice move by Dale Earnhardt. As Kowicki and Elliott continue to battle for position, here are the top 10 with 465 laps completed. Recapping the Rock, laps 465 to 479. Dale Earnhardt is 2 laps down. Behind him, a battle for third position. Harry Gant in 33 and Ken Schrader in car number 25. Later, Earnhardt slides high up in turn number 1, comes very close to hitting the wall as Gant and Schrader go by. Back to the race now on lap 480. Back at Rockingham with just 12 laps to go. It's Alan Kulwicki, Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, Ken Schrader, and Jeff Bodine. Sterling Marlin, Ricky Rudd, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, and Ernie Irvan. 11 through 15, Mark Martin, Morgan Shepherd, Terry Labonte, Bobby Hillen, and Brett Bodine. The laps are winding down, gentlemen, and Alan Kulwicki continues to hold onto the lead. There is his advantage over Bill Elliott.
Alan Kulwicki in the... Now look at this gaggle. Oh, Mark Martin and Ernie Irvan almost make contact coming off the second corner.
But guys, if Mark Martin is going to get aggressive, it's time to do so, because both of those cars, the 4 and the 3, are positions for him. So if he can pass both of them, he could actually pick up some points on Dale Earnhardt.
We've been talking all afternoon about how he would lose points here this afternoon because he's been running behind Earnhardt literally all race. But now he has a chance to pass Dale and actually add to his points lead.
But first he's got to get by the 4, and let's see if he can do it. He was not able to make it the last lap.
Right now he's losing 8 points while those 2 cars are in front of him.
Now he's going to try it on the high side and go by Earnhardt with Ernie.
Here on the tri-oval, Ernie Irvan gets by Earnhardt. And now Martin goes to the top side of the racetrack to try to do the same thing. Out of turn number 2, Martin and Dale Earnhardt are side by side. They go into turn number 3.
Ernie just high on the racetrack. Meanwhile, is he going to be 3 abreast?
Ooh, some contact. It looked like Martin slightly ahead as they cross the line.
Well, he has certainly gotten aggressive now. Knows that those few points could make a whale of a difference.
There are less than 8 laps to go.
Neither of these cars have received any bonus points today. Neither car has led a lap.
Oh,
Martin gets in the wall, I think.
I think he touched it.
I do too. Wow. Boy, the worst thing that can happen is for both of them to crash. I mean, neither one of them want to crash out. That would really be a significant problem.
And after a terrific run today, Sterling Marlin is off the pace slow and evidently has a cylinder problem.
He was running in the top 6. He was the last car on the lead lap, 6th position. Marlin slows here with less than 7 laps to go.
At one point, we thought he had a flat tire, but he didn't. Stayed out there. Here's a battle.
It's been going on for several laps. This is for 3rd position. It's 25 of Ken Schrader and the 33 of Harry Gant.
And we mentioned the manufacturer's trophy, Ford and Chevrolet. That's an Oldsmobile, the 33. The 25 of the Chevrolet. If the Oldsmobile will finish 3rd, Ford and Chevrolet will be tied for the trophy at the end of this race.
Less than 5 laps to go, and Harry Gant moves to 3rd position, passing Ken Schrader, but Schrader fights back on the inside. Alan Kulwicki is the leader of this race, and Bill Elliott is running in 2nd position, but at the moment, Kulwicki has a rather comfortable lead when you consider there are only 4 more laps to go.
Those 2 cars just went by the Brett Bodine car. It's smoking heavily. Looks like he's lost a cylinder.
There they are. The interval between 1st and 2nd position. Kulwicki is the leader. Bill Elliott is 2nd. There are the 3 and 6 cars that continue to run close together on the racetrack. The 33 and 25 are battling for 3rd spot. Harry Gant has 3rd right now. Oh, and a spin in turn 4 involving Darrell Waltrip. The yellow flag comes out.
So now it's a race back to the line. Let's see who's going to win it.
This could be the race. Kulwicki comes through turn number 4. Elliott is closing in on him. Here they come down through the tri-oval. And Kulwicki wins the race to the caution flag with 2 laps to go.
And Harry Gant's going to win the 3rd place race over Ken Schrader.
And that is going to be the race, isn't it? Because there are only 2 laps to go.
I think you're right, because they'll have to get the pace car out there and then get them in line and give them one more lap to go. That should, the race is over.
Yeah, there aren't that many laps left, and Alan Kulwicki is going to win his second Winston Cup race. And Harry Gant will finish third. Ken Schrader, the pole sitter, will finish fourth. The 3 and 6 cars will finish nose to tail also, and it will be Dale Earnhardt picking up 4 points. 1 position.
Schrader's going into pits.
Huh.
Why would he do that under caution?
Evidently, they think this is a 500-lap race. It's a 500-mile race.
They are changing tires and making a chassis adjustment, and the race is going, the checkered flag is going to wave the next time by.
The white flag is waving right now. Everyone in the whole place can see it.
Well, that's right. Someone is thinking this is a 500-lap race.
Yep, that's exactly what they're thinking, and it's going to cost them 2 positions. They were in 4th. Now they're going to be in 6th.
Schrader, let's see, was 12th in points. He was 7 points behind Davey Allison, and boy, we talk about how critical positions are.
See, now watch Schrader. We can't see him on the camera, but he's going up on the outside. He's going to get ready to pass all these guys. Kenny, the race is over, buddy.
The race is over.
There he goes.
The flag is in hand as Doyle Ford will wave it as the cars come down this time. The AC Delco 500 ends under caution because of a spin involving Darrell Waltrip, and the winner of the race, his second victory of his career, is Alan Kulwicki. Bill Elliott finishes second. Harry Gant finishes third. And 4th position will now go, I believe, to Jeff Bodine.
And Ken Schrader will be 5th.
And there is the happy Xerox crew. Their driver, Alan Kulwicki, who has had a very disappointing in many ways season this year, registered his second Winston Cup win here this afternoon at Rockingham. We'll be back right after this. The top 5 finishers here at the AC Delco 500. Alan Kulwicki, your winner. Bill Elliott, second. Harry Gant finishes third. 4th was Jeff Bodine, and Ken Schrader finished in 5th position. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. By the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. Let's go to our road handler winner's circle interview. To victory lane we go, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. The celebration continues here in Victory Lane. Paul Andrews and a well-deserved crew, and of course, Alan Kulwicki picking up the win. Alan, congratulations on a great run.
It was a good run. The car ran good all day, and we had good pit stops. You know, we've been coming on, and we just ran a smart race and stayed out of trouble, and you know, everything went our way. We let plenty of them slip away this year, and, you know, I was beginning to wonder if we were going to get a chance to win, and, man, this is what we've been working for. This makes it all worthwhile. The guys on the crew did a good job. You know, this car, Danny and Paul and these guys, Ken, they've been doing a great job of preparing it. It's been finishing week after week after week, and you just got to be there every week, and sooner or later you're going to get the breaks. Today we did.
Well, what a time to put on a great show. The sponsor is going away after this year, of course. Alan Kulwicki looking for a sponsor for 1991. Alan, and a great run. Congratulations.
Yeah, I want to thank my sponsors, Xerox, Antifreeze, and Ford, and Napa, and glad we could win one, and, you know, before it was all over here, and sorry to see them leave. They've been a good company to work for, and but we have an awful good team here for someone to sponsor.
Alan Kulwicki wins it here at Rockingham. Let's go up to the garage area where John Kernan is standing by with Mark Martin.
Well, Mark, it was a wild ride out there today. Just never did find the right handle on the car.
Oh, not quite. I tell you what, we went so long with everything going so good. We've had 2 races in a row that we struggled, but, you know, we're going to try to win this championship. It still looks really, really good. We feel like we can go to Phoenix and win out there and run as good as Earnhardt at Atlanta. And we're just going to try to win this championship for Folgers and Valvoline and for all these guys. They worked hard for it, and they deserve it. They kept their chin up today. They kept me going, and we actually ran better at the end of the race than we did the whole race. Obviously, it was too late to do anything, but I don't think we lost much points.
I think you lost about 4 points. That was another question. You guys, it seems when one of you finishes first, the other finishes second, finish on down, you're right there next to each other. Can you explain that?
Well, I think a lot of people probably, if they didn't watch a race, would say, man, they're just trying to finish right behind Earnhardt every race. But I tell you, if you watch a race, wow, I had my hands full. You know, it wasn't that the car handled that bad. It was just that it wouldn't quite run as fast as those other guys, and I tried to keep pushing it and forcing it and forcing it. You know, the car would have drove okay if I'd have slowed down a little bit, but I couldn't afford to. You know, we just had to run it for all it was worth, every inch of the way.
Well, congratulations, Mark. I believe Bobby only loses 4 points to Dale Earnhardt.
And we will check the points in just a moment. First, we'll check the top 20 finishers. Kowicki becomes the 13th different winner in 1990. The modern era record is 14.
And Bob, we see Ken Schrader did finish 5th. He only lost 1 position by making that pit stop there when the yellow came out.
Sterling Marlin had a great run, but lost an engine near the end, finished 6th. Ern Irvin also ran super all day, had an ignition problem, kept going in the pits, ended up finishing 9th.
And there you can see the point leader, Mark Martin, finished in 11th position here this afternoon. Kyle Petty, the guy who ran so well in the early going, finished 20th. Now the points. 45 separate the top 2. If Mark Martin can finish 3rd or better at Phoenix and Atlanta, he will win the Winston Cup Championship regardless of what Dale Earnhardt does. Our next event is in 2 weeks, November 4th, live at 3 o'clock in the afternoon from Phoenix, Arizona, the Checker 500. The finale is November 18th, live at 12:30. Both of those here on ESPN, and they will be live. Yes, I said live here on ESPN. My thanks to Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations to Alan Kowicki. For now, this is Bob Jenkins from Rockingham, North Carolina. So long, everyone.